People who get locked into a vision. All right, that's it, man. That's their drive. That's their passion. Critics don't matter. This don't matter. They're going to do whatever it fucking takes to be the best at what they do.
Oh, man. Sorry, Jim, you said you had a bunch of questions, too.
Yeah, do you want me to just read off a couple here? Let me put my glass.
Yeah, throw a few out. We'll take turns.
Okay.
Rhodes already answered all of them on Instagram. Yeah. He didn't quite get the whole concept of we're putting questions out there to answer today on a podcast. So he just figured he's going to answer them all. So go ahead, James.
Oh, boy. I've got a shit ton here. This is something that I think we all can answer. While I am only using my home gym for 5-1 during the social distancing, I was thinking about just using the Swiss bar for benching. First of all, do you guys like the Swiss bar?
Absolutely.
Oh, love it.
Okay. And do I need to get a new max for the bar, or can I just use my barbell max? I think we all can agree that you got to have a new max for the Swiss bar.
Yes.
It's an entirely different animal.
Yes.
You know what the hardest thing about
new max?
Yeah, the hardest thing about that bar is learning how to take it off because it wobbles so much.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to set your hands right a little bit to the, like a little bit towards your pinky, so it kind of tips back toward you a little bit. But if it's too much, it's just once you figure that out, it's easy.
Yeah, the one thing I always
you guys have the Swiss. You guys have the Swiss bar. I have the football bar. That thing is badass. There's the difference between those two bars is not to be believed.
Dave sent me another bar though.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I don't know which one I don't know what they call this one. It's not this. I don't think it's the one that you have because you have like a bar in the middle, right? It's like,
yes, which makes it perfect for overhead press, for tricep extensions, everything. Because there's more space between there for your head.
Okay. All right, that's easy enough. I'm gonna just hold on. All right, this one. Okay. He's asking, can he do farmer's walk 3 times a week on days off when I don't do, his weight training? Is this a good idea or not, and how many sets and stuff like that?
So I'm going to answer this question quickly. I'm just going to throw this out there because you guys would probably ask me the same thing. What's the purpose of the farmer's carry?
He says he wants to add mass to his traps.
Well, I think there's a better way to build a bigger yoke than doing farmer's carries. I'll let you guys go with that, but that's just my opinion.
This is if you're going to do it 3 times a week, there is a big difference between doing it with 135 3 times a week or something similar and doing it with 500 pounds 3 times a week.
Right, and then the distance involved as well.
Yeah, there's so many variables. So it's like saying I squat 7 days a week, and then you realize that 6 of those workouts are with like a 35-pound kettlebell.
Right.
Does that make sense? So you could do it 3 times a week. It just has to be done in such a way that it doesn't affect your other lifts, at least not long term. It may affect your, the first week or so. But again, like Vincent said, if your main goal is trap mass, it's still a great thing to do, but it may be at the expense of other things.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, there were a lot of guys with super big traps before they were doing farmer's carries.
Do you remember, and Vincent, I bring this up, who was that great bencher out of Minnesota? He was
Andy.
Yes.
Andy. He looked like a
ball. Oh, Andy Fiedler.
Fiedler, yep.
Yeah. Holy shit. I saw him at the Arnold one time. He was wearing a wife beater. I've never seen traps like that in my life.
Dude, absolute monster. Amazing lifter, too. He went into bodybuilding, and then I know he did a little acting, too. We were acquaintances, and then he fell off the map, and I never really heard from him again, but I heard people had seen him around, and he was still an absolute beast. But I bet he wasn't. He had the biggest traps I think I've ever seen in my life, and I bet you he wasn't doing farmer's carries. Yeah. And lots of guys were doing big traps. And I've learned a lot this week, especially corresponding with you guys and just some stuff with Dave, because I've had a breakthrough that a lot of this crap out here is completely unnecessary. There's too much information out there. There are guys with gigantic traps who never did a farmer's walk, a tire flip, lifted a keg. They lifted weights, and if they wanted to get conditioned, they ran or walked or whatever. But I fall. I am a sucker. I'll fall into the traps. And once I left powerlifting, everything kind of went downhill. And now I've just gone back to the roots of, yeah, if you want traps, you don't have to. You could deadlift a lot. Seem to do a lot for a lot of people's traps.
Yeah. The thing I like about the farmer's carry, it's loaded carries are really good for you. But like Jim said, you've got to be smart about it if you're going to do it multiple times a week. You can't be a hero. Like sometimes I'll do it because I can walk out the door of our weight room to the football field. Put like 95 or 135 pounds on, wear wrist straps, and make a quarter-mile walk. One lap around the track, and I'm done. And then, I feel it for a couple days, but it's nothing like I wouldn't do anything crazy because, like one of you guys said, it's gonna hurt your other stuff. It's gonna negatively affect you. So you got to be smart with everything you do. You can't just you can't really go nuts with anything because it's going to hurt something else. And it's probably, at our age, it's going to hurt us. We're going to physically hurt ourselves.
Here's I think a good way to say it is if his main goal for training is to add mass to your traps, then it's fine. If your main goal of training is to get your bench up, squat up, deadlift up, then maybe you need to find another way.
Yeah, agreed. I think a lot of the exercises just get lost because people just see so much. They're just so bombarded with information on social media that it's like, I should try this, I should try this, I should try this, and they just start sprinkling more and more junk in. And again, I've been, that's happened to me. And reading something Dave wrote and put out there, it's like you could probably cut a third to half of your stuff out, and your workout will be great. And, that's what I have done without even, before I had even read that. I just started whittling it down because my body could only take so much. But even when I was at my strongest, I was like, I never thought about going out to do farmer's carries. I'm like, I'm a power lifter. I had a program and I stuck with that.
The thing we did well as power lifters too is we really only did what was necessary. We did very little, but we did that very little well and with a purpose. Like our back work was for a purpose, to build our bench, our deadlift, our squat. Everything we did was purposeful, and there was very little wasted time other than the 18 minutes between taking 135 and 225.
What's interesting, Rhodes, is when people ask what we do at London for the football team, and I tell them what we do, they're always surprised that we don't do this thing or that thing or this thing. And then I think the mark that you've kind of figured some stuff out, I'm not saying this is the only thing, is when you've been able to chop away at all the stuff that is insignificant so that you can focus on what is significant. And sometimes that gets lost, especially when you're about not a beginner usually, but usually when you get out of that beginner phase and you start reading more and more because you're making progress and whatnot. And you end up just throwing everything into the fucking mix, and then nothing becomes important then. So
yes. You do it to do it.
Yeah. And sometimes like for example, let's say you are a power lifter, and you got 4 months to your next meet. And if you want to fuck around a little bit, I think that's a good idea. It keeps you fresh maybe, and you have some fun. I remember one time after a meet, myself and Kevin DeWeese, we did chains, band, rate releasers, and reverse band. We put everything we could on the bar, just like, it's the stupidest thing we could think of. And but it was fun. And that's not something I would do, obviously, when you're meet prep and all that other stuff. Right. But one of the things that I liked about when I started doing programming, I always said I could only do 3 exercises a workout. That was my goal. And it's not because that's a magic number or anything like that. It just forced me to say, is this really that necessary? And I think people would do themselves a favor. I'm not saying you do it all the time, but what can I do in these? I got 3 movements. I know I'm going to do a main one. What are the 2 other assistance movements I can do? And you really start like, well, shit. Dips, just as an example, cover a lot of areas. Fuck it, we're going to do that.
Yep.
And it's just something to think about. I think with overall programming, and especially. The weird thing about powerlifting is you only have one goal, really, is to get a big total, for example, right? And so it should be easier to whittle away the bullshit. But the problem is you're kind of bored because that's all you're really going to do. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, the irony is when you go to athletics, there's a million things you got to train for. And so that's when it really comes into play. And it's people always I see a lot of weird stuff, obviously, that athletes do and stuff. And it's like my oldest son always asks me, I'm like, listen, dude, at the end of the day, this is GPP and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, a squat will cover a lot of areas, for you, or the trap bar deadlift or the deadlift or whatever. And so now you're doing 1 exercise instead of 7. This is nothing that's groundbreaking. I mean, we've discussed this a million times.
Right. But I think it bears repeating because when you use your basic setup there, 3 lifts, 1's a main lift and you have 2 assistance lifts, it forces you to choose wisely. Like, I like doing flies. Well, that's my only, upper body movement or my only push movement I can do for the day. I'm not getting a lot of bang for my buck doing that. What's better?
Yeah.
An incline press, an overhead press, dumbbells, dips, whatever. It forces you to choose exercises that are going to get you, I'll get my chest work or whatever, but I'm going to get shoulders and I'm going to get triceps and all that stuff. So you're getting a lot of things involved. Training economy.
This is, you see that? It says Nails.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's the guys from Nails have released, I think, 4 albums. Okay. And I think the longest album is like 18 minutes total. Okay. And they asked, I can't remember, whoever the singer and guitarist is, why do you guys do that? And he said, you ever listen to like a 10-minute song or whatever, any kind of song, and said, there's that one really cool part? And you're like, yeah. He's like, he said, I only want to play that cool part.
Yeah.
So it's funny because just from a songwriting standpoint, that's how Joey and I write songs. We just jam, and it's like, fuck this, man. This part's not awesome. And we call it the bang the roof part. When you're in your car and you hear something awesome,
yeah.
That's all I want to play. And it's the same thing with training. It's especially important with athletes because there's so much other shit going on that you have to be like, listen, because there's going to be concessions to make, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
You can't do everything.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
and it's the same basic ideas apply, except with powerlifting, you have to kind of hold yourself back a little bit because you're gonna start doing everything. And you guys know I love Cosgrove. He's I love Alan. You guys familiar with?
Talk like Czech.
Yeah. He once told me, he's like, when I first started training, I wanted to get a big chest, so I would bench press. And then I read about incline press. So I started doing inclines. And I said, dumbbells are awesome. So he started doing all kinds of different dumbbells. And he's like, then I read about flies. Because by the end of like 6 months, I had 13 exercises I was doing. So again, and it's funny because when I joined a local gym here to do the machines, I was doing machine circuits. Rhodes came with me a couple times. There's so many fucking options that it's going to a commercial gym is very difficult if you don't know what you're doing, because it's like being in like a whorehouse with a bunch of like hot, 35 different hot women. Like, what am I going to choose? Right?
Exactly.
One of the good reasons why, like, if you just have a power rack at home, it forces you to be creative and it forces you to do focus on what's important. So, all right, we really beat this fucking question down.
Yeah.
But I just want to say one thing to Rhodes, right? Rhodes, wasn't there a professional who had told you once that one of the problems is people need to make things more they need to make them look more important than they really are. You have to like kind of confuse people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I applied
you gotta
for a job.
Justify your existence.
Yeah, I applied for a job and my speed development program wasn't complicated enough.
Right.
And what's cool is the guy called. He didn't have to call me, but he did. It was a Friday night, and he called me, and it was a private phone call. And he's like, "That's what they were talking about." And I'm like, "Well, cool. I don't want to work for someone like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to work for a sport coach that thinks they know my job better than I do, because I would never tell them how to coach their sport." And so it was a blessing. I'm not making as much money as I would have, but I wouldn't want to work for someone like that. That it's got to be complicated. Come on, run, lift, push some sleds, run up some hills, have a little pride in your training, and you run faster. It's crazy.
Hey, Vincent, I don't know if you know this, but you got something sticking out of your ear, buddy.
Oh, it's a headphone.
I know.
I can't believe I just answered that too. I've definitely been cooped up way too long.
I thought it was a really sticky semen drop.
Something about Mary?
It's to fix my hair.
What is that?
You got something in your hair. Yeah, can I try some? I like this question.
All right, go ahead.
Looking back now, what were some ideas or dogmas that weren't as important as they seem to be regarding training, life, etc.? Like, what was something that, like, when you were younger and training, like just balls deep in training, that was a dogma to you that probably isn't that important now? Or what are some that were important then that are still important now?
Rhodes, you can go. I'd have to think about this one a little bit.
Yeah, I do too. You got some? Yeah, good.
Yeah, the biggest one was just two things. Bigger is better. Just getting as big as possible, which did work at the time. I got bigger and I got stronger. And that conditioning was a waste of time. If I had it to do over again, I wish I would have done some conditioning along the way and a little bit of stretching, but I thought those things were taboo and a waste of time. And I think a little could have gone a long way. And I see that now, and especially you kind of pay the price. But I think they could have definitely helped a little bit mitigate some of the damage without hindering the performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you want to get stronger as a power lifter, bigger's better. But be in condition. I wish, like you said, I wish I was in better condition. I wish I had stretched a little bit more. I wish I had paid a little more attention to my hip and my back mobility. But like you said, it was you can't condition and be a good power lifter. Well, and this is an extreme example. Football players do it all the time.
Yes.
Obviously extreme, but we don't need to go and run wind sprints or 40s or whatever. We could have taken our happy asses out and gone for a mile walk 5 times a week to supplement our training. And yeah, that's conditioning. And it would have made us a little bit better. But we didn't do it. Yeah,
when I was my heaviest, when I was 320 whatever,
28.5,
I couldn't walk.
Dude, you were a big land mammal.
I never made it to 330, but I couldn't walk around a half-mile block. But in a couple of weeks, like you said, it only takes 3 weeks to get in better condition.
Yep.
In 3 weeks, I was doing it with a weight vest. I could have just been doing that all along, even a half mile or a mile walk, and it wouldn't have been difficult, and I could have still been that heavy, and it would have provided a lot of recovery, a little bit of conditioning, probably just kept me from feeling just like complete ass. Right. The only time I ever felt good being that big was when I was actually lifting. Other than that, I was more worthless than I am now.
I think the thing with that is we always heard that running in conditioning
fucking worthless.
is it's gonna hinder.
I put these in for you guys.
This is Vincent. This is what Vincent's worth was.
That was it. That was it.
Squat.
That and I kept Drake's cakes alive.
All right, I'm sorry, buddy.
I don't even
That's
know
all right.
what I was saying.
I love it.
Next
It
question.
probably wasn't important or true. Go ahead, Jim. You got a question?
Well, what I was going to say, the thing that I continually went in and out of, and I still do to some degree, is trusting where my heart is or what I believe is right. And I think there were certain times where I didn't trust myself. As an example, of course, we all grew up without the internet. And so for all those years that I was training, I learned a lot of shit. And then when all this information came, it was a lot of it, when you read it, was not what I had experienced. But because I didn't, who was I? I was only this guy or this guy. And I'd read, these guys who were supposed experts. And I would be like, wow, that's totally not what I believe. And not my experience. And I'm like, well, they must know better than me. They got initials after their name.
Right.
And this goes for just about everything in life. And so one of the things that I've always tried to do is you can kind of follow your instinct or your gut where it's going. And every time that I've done that, every fucking time, it served me well. And that goes from relationships to lifting to whatever. So now it's like whenever I get like that rumble, like the one thing I love to say is, if there is a doubt, there is no doubt. So if anything comes up, I'm just like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable doing this. I'm out of here, or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
So I wish I would have trusted myself a little bit more, and that's just part of growing up too. And part of growing up is knowing, someone's better at something. Fuck, then I'll listen. I'm okay with that. But a lot of times, you're part of stuff. It's the biggest eye opener is when you start meeting people in person, right? And you'll meet someone like, holy shit, dude! Like, hey, how the fuck do you know anything?
Yeah.
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 And it's ironically, that's kind of what the internet has forced people to do. You don't get to meet anyone, and you don't get the nuance of maybe what they're saying or what they're coaching. And that's one of the things that, I always joke to the kids that they may ask me a question about training or something. I'm like, listen, man, there's two realities. There's the internet and then there's the real world. So let's just stay in the real world, because what you're reading now is a bunch of baloney, And I'll give you an example, Rhodes, and I'm sure you've got this. When they ask you, like, why don't you guys do this with your kids or whatever? And I'm like, dude, there's one of me. One for every fucking athlete. You know the time it would take to administer and even coach half the shit? And someone asked me a question about some obscure power training thing. I'm like, dude, when I get kids, they can't do push-ups. Like, what is you think I give a fuck about the Abrahamic flexion principle?
Yeah, let's skip right to step 22.
So
when they can't do a bodyweight squat the same way, 5 reps in a row.
Yeah. So it's I guess, but anyway, but that would be I think Vincent made the good points, and we've discussed that many times about, we would have changed. But at the same time, man, Vincent, what was your main goal? Was to bench 600 raw, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I could have walked. I could have.
Well, I understand,
but do you think walking a little bit would have been detrimental?
Right,
or do you think it could have been helpful?
worked?
That's not the point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it still works.
What you did was, for who you were at that point in time, was perfect. And Vincent, honestly, if I told you, like when I first met you was in Boston, if I would have took you aside, like, listen, I know I just met you, but you're going to have to fucking buy a hurdle, for some mobility. And here's a weight vest, buddy. Knock yourself out. Like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
Right. So
yeah, you got a valid point there.
And there's an old saying: when the student is ready, the master appears. So sometimes you're just not ready to take on whatever information that that in hindsight would be good. It just, you wouldn't have listened, and that's okay because you benched what you wanted to bench. And so, even,
Right.
there's a lot of stuff. Matt and I talk about this a lot because Matt has his chair at our house. He has a chair.
Yeah.
And I have a couch, and we just sit there and we sometimes we'll be talking back in I wish we would have done this. I'm like, yeah, we weren't ready for that. And I wouldn't have listened. I'd never listen to anyone as it is. I wouldn't have listened back then. I was a lot more hard-headed. So I just don't, I did what I wanted to do. Like, I'm very, that makes me sleep very well at night, that I did the things I wanted to do. And so when people ask me those questions, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't change it. You benched 600. That's fucking awesome. I mean, you did it.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah. But it's part of the learning process too. You've got to do a bunch of things wrong to then figure out, I probably shouldn't have done this, or, all these, I'm going to go off on a tangent here. All those people say, I have no regrets. Well, I got a ton of regrets about, just.
I've been around for a lot of them.
What that?
I said I've been around for a lot of them.
That's true.
It was that uncircumcised guy. Remember that story?
It's eluding me. It's eluding me at this time.
I was going to post a picture of you dressed up for Halloween as a very lovely lady.
My Britney
on
Spears
Instagram,
fans.
but I figured you had a professional. You got a job. I couldn't really put that out there.
I appreciate you. I don't know how you got a hold of that.
I still have it. I showed it to Jess today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Don't worry, Jim. I will text it to you. You can do with it what you will.
Just hold it up to the screen. No one will see.
Yeah. You get tens of viewers right now.
All right, I have to disappear for a second.
No, I'm just joking, dude. Well,
No, I use that photo a lot.
yeah, about 2:00 at night when you got a boner and can't sleep.
Oh, I love you guys. I do. I mean that too. No sarcasm.
Can't part with these magazines. I use them a lot.
See, who's laughing now when the internet goes down because of the fucking coronavirus? Got a stack of jugs.
I got
And remember that magazine? Trying to pass out fucking porn like it's classy.
I mean, people have no idea what we're talking about now. You got to be at least 40, I would imagine.
Oh, good times.
All right, you want me to?
Who's got? You got another one?
All right, this is for you, Vincent.
Yes, sir.
Vincent, what mental challenges come with reducing body weight and shifting goals away from maximal strength? I will have something to add. Seems like a lot of people struggle with the ego portion, i.e. the recurring question everyone gets, how to reduce body fat and get stronger. Real quick, one of the things I think is key is you did what you wanted to do. Bench 600, that makes things a lot easier. Go ahead.
Yes, that's exactly how I was going to answer it. So, I would have probably never been 600 pounds if I didn't get up to 330 pounds. And then as I worked my way down, I was able to get it at 308. I was able to get it at 275. I made my best equip bench 900 at 275. So, I never pined away that I wasn't, that I was sacrificing my strength because I hit my strength goals first. I think a lot of people are trying to do both at the same time. And, it's a complete, utter waste of time. You want to get stronger, get bigger. You're not Dan Green. You're not Larry Wheels. You're not the exception to the rule. You're not going to be shredded, benching 600 pounds, pulling, you look at the guys who are competing in the strongman. You look at Thor. These guys are leaner at times and then bigger at others. It all depends on what your goal is. So, if your goal is to be as strong as possible, you certainly wouldn't be trying to lean out.
There you go. So I guess the answer to the question is your mental hurdle didn't need to be cleared as much because you had done your goals prior. That's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, and I knew I wasn't going to be as strong. I still deal with it a bit now. Just the not being as big or as strong as I was, but it's, that's just part of I could have been in the coffin at 45 and been big and strong till that day, probably. So it's all what's important to you. But yeah, I didn't have to deal with that. What I have to mentally deal with is being smaller now, which is hard. That's difficult because I actually felt better about myself when I was over 300 pounds than I do now being in much better shape. But yeah,
it's weird. When
it was
big. It's
being
cool.
big is fun.
Being big is cool.
I thought I was 300 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. Now when I get abs and veins, I'm like, man, I look terrible. What the hell's wrong with me?
Yeah, you love posting those pictures with your shirt pulled up like a teenage girl, though, dude. I love those.
Yeah, so much here. Everyone take a peek.
Oh my God, I'm so fat. Oh my God.
Rhodes was very impressed with my leggings yesterday.
Oh God. I have a pair of them, but I wear shorts over them or I wear pants over them outside when it's cold out.
Right, I train in my basement by myself.
I know, but
if
I do
leave
things
the house,
by myself. I still dress appropriately.
Yeah, that's why I have that picture of you as Britney Spears. Weirdo.
You take off your leggings.
I had a lot of high beams that night.
When you take off
you sure
leggings, does it smell like pussy?
I'm not touching that. Not even going near that one. Not touching it. Nope.
But that's funny.
All right.
What's next?
Hey, I wanted to share. I did a log post the other day, and I wanted to share like how much you guys really have helped me out, and as much as we break each other's balls. Jim gave me the best advice ever. I never saw conditioning as like a skill, and because I was never any good at it, I never thought what I was doing was going to be detrimental to my training or to my recovery or to my body. And now that I look back at it, throwing the 88-pound or the 80-pound weight vest and doing 3-mile death marches, every day in 90-degree heat and doing carries on my trail and sprinting and airdyne sprints and burpees. And because I'm not a CrossFit athlete. I never really thought how that affects me. And someone had actually asked about conditioning. If you want to be really conditioned, that's your one hard thing versus weightlifting versus training.
Yes.
Like I never thought of just psychotic prowler pushes as being, you know what, that's my goal for today. My goal isn't to hit AMRAP on squat, deadlift, or bench. That needs to take a real back seat. That's almost like deload work as far as numbers are concerned compared to conditioning. So I think anybody who might be in the case, there's a lot of people who hit me up with questions because they're trying to lose weight, they're trying to get in better condition. And that's one thing I've totally screwed up. Losing the weight was all calories. You can't condition off calories really well. We've talked about that.
Yes.
I mean, it's really hard to do that. But if you want to get in better condition, it will take a toll. Even if you're not good at it, it's gonna deplete your bank account.
Well, the thing is if you're not very good at it, it's going to deplete you even more. And
yeah, I never thought of that.
Vincent is referring to we have a massive group text between all three of us, and sometimes we'll go 2 months without anything, and it'll just be whatever. But I think Vincent's had some injury problems and stuff. And I think what you're referring to is, I said, dude, at our age, and really almost any age, for the most part, you got one hard thing in you, and then everything else has to kind of be, For example, if your goal was to bench 600 pounds, you wouldn't push the prowler 3 days a week. You would take a stroll with your headphones in, for 2 or 3 miles, and that would be it. But I think that's, and I always jokingly say, the guys that can do this, the conditioning at a high level and then squat at a high level and jump at a high level, they're called linebackers in the NFL.
Right.
And,
yeah.
One of the things I think, and I don't want to be Nancy negative, but you're not, like you said, Vincent, you're not Dan Green or Larry Wheels, and you're not, who's that linebacker? Luke Kuechly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Just be you. And the crazy thing, Vincent, is like when I got into really good shape, my workouts for conditioning were done in such a way that it was super easy, and I just let the momentum build up. And so when I actually did kind of do a trial, I was like, holy shit, this is so easy. So I never really burnt myself on it. So there's a way to do it, but here's the best way. Like most of the shit you do shouldn't be Instagram friendly or social media friendly. It should be boring.
Right.
And
consistent.
You know, you don't need to be a YouTube star every workout.
Yep.
So I'm looking at your pictures while I'm talking to you. I'm not looking at the fucking camera.
It's all right. I'm looking at you guys. I'm looking at you guys because I miss you so much.
Back at you, brother.
Well, I already talked. We already talked when we do the next the NOV meet. I've already got my general idea of what I'm going to do, but I think we should still, we should always push the prowler. It doesn't have to be a challenge. We'll do a mile. By the way, you know that the half-mile track. Right, you know that we do it?
Yes.
Juliet did a 25 on each side, so that would be 50 plus 90, 140 pounds. She took one fucking break today.
Oh,
one break. So she pushed it. You know, you guys, when you go up the hill first.
Yep.
By the stop sign.
Yeah.
That was her one break, and then someone started talking to her. So she kept on talking to this person. And he kept on going.
Very different than when we do it. We go out there with cut off sleeves and sunglasses, and people are like, I don't want to talk to these idiots.
So, but the point being,
we're holding our knees between.
I always yell at my athletes for putting their hands on their knees. I always tell them we're not in prison now. Stand up, and I'm the first one to grab my shorts and lean over and be like, "This is the greatest minute break of my life."
Funny is when when we have an athlete who's hurt, during practice will push the prowler, for around the field probably 6 times. So it's just me and this guy, and because of I don't let people put their hands on their knees or show weakness, and that's a learned trait, by the way. It's a skill because you got to learn how to stand tall when you're tired. Man, I catch myself almost all the time just when I'm about to put my hands down, like, I know they're fucking watching, because the kids will call you out right away.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to get called out for wearing a red hat today. If any of my kids watch this, because I yell at them for wearing colors that aren't our colors. Yeah. But I'm in my living room. I'm not at work. I'm going to wear my school hat. But I'm going to get anyone that watches, I'm going to get my balls busted over that. They see everything. Just like we see everything. They see everything.
Vincent,
all right, I got a good question.
Real quick,
yes, sir.
Is your school completely done, or did they say like May 1st or something?
As of right now, it's through the end of, I think, like the middle to end of April. But it's in Connecticut, because we're close to New York per capita. I think we're 4th worst in the country. So I don't see it going back this year. We're all doing distance learning.
Did you guys see the gun shop owner in California?
Yes.
He did a video. He's like, listen, the reason why you got to wait 30 days is because of you fuckers. You're the ones that voted for all this crap.
Yeah.
Don't blame me. So
I called my buddy. I was like, I have plenty of toilet paper. I have plenty of food. The only thing I didn't have was plenty of ammo. And I have a friend, my buddy Rob, could get anything. This is, when you have that friend, I have, Rob is like, he just the best friend any human could ever have. And I was like, Rob, I know there's no ammo out there. It's like the next day he had a bucket of 350 rounds for him. He's like, don't worry about it. I know a guy. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So now we're all stocked up here at the Dizenzo house on everything that we need. We don't have to go anywhere. We got a trail in the backyard. We got a hot tub in the backyard. We just got everything we need. We got we were way ahead on that trend.
Yeah. I got 2,000 rounds of ammo here, so I'm okay.
I got to get my gun back from Jim.
I still have Rhodes.
What do you, Jim?
Yeah.
Did you have to take it away? Was he being depressed again?
No. He wanted to use it to see if he wanted to actually buy one. and I totally forgot it was up there last time I was up there.
What's funny is
That's the story you told him, Jim. That's the story you told him.
Well, what's
I just want to borrow for a little while. It's not your deep depression that you're in, Matt.
It's like you're the trap bar at Murph's. It became yours.
Bring my trap bar back.
Borrow this for the rest of my life.
What are you talking about? I'll talk to you later about rifles and stuff. Rhodes.
Yeah.
So I had my eye on a couple.
Nice.
They are the company I looked at, Noveski, I think. I went to their webpage just to browse. Everything is out of stock. Everything.
Oh, I bet.
Everything.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I want some shotguns. I'm wondering when I'll ever be able to get those again.
We don't, dude. There's nothing better than the gun industry than Democrats.
Yeah.
As much as they bitch about it, like, no, keep them coming, buddy. Like, they love Beto O'Rourke, the fucking total failure as a human, but he's done something for the gun industry. Dude, my oldest son, he knows a group of kids that when they want to play a prank on someone, they'll take the political signs from someone's yard and just put all Beto O'Rourke signs in front of the kids' house. Now, I don't know who did this. You know, it wasn't him, but that's how they prank their buddies.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty funny.
I'm a proud father, man.
Yes.
So anyway,
I got a question that I wanted to answer. You guys, Matt helped me out with this one. Someone asked, how important are unilateral lower body exercises for powerlifters? And I'm going to say they're completely unimportant whatsoever. And the reason I'm going to say this is because when I was talking to Matt about programming for myself, even recently, I was doing a single leg deadlift, dumbbell deadlifts, and he's like, you know, there could be some instability there, and especially with everything going on with my body. I'm like, but they're good for me for stretching. You know, it's good movement. Well, I could take care of my stretching, my movement, my mobility by stretching and doing mobility work, and just keep my lifting. So it was amazing how much more stability I had just going to stiff leg dumbbell deadlifts, you know, for both legs versus doing single leg. I even because of that, because my hips are so screwed up, I dropped the elevated split squats because one side was just so much easier than the other. And since dropping those unilateral lower body exercise, I actually feel infinitely better. You know, I let my stretching and mobility take care of my stretching and mobility, and my weightlifting and my strength training is my weightlifting and my strength training.
In your case, Vincent, like let's just use the single leg dumbbell deadlift. My first thing would be just use it as part of your warm up. It doesn't even have to be weighted. And
right,
you know, and it's kind of along the same lines. And I get asked that question a lot. I'm sure Rhodes does a lot more single leg work than we do. But I also sit on stairs and push the prowler. We do sprints. That's single leg too. And we started doing iso lunge or Bulgarian split squat, whatever you call it. When your back leg's on a bench, we do iso holds as part of our warm up. And we do push-up holds, you know, where you hold the top of about 2 or 3 inches off the stuff. And miraculously, it just kind of takes care of a lot of things all at once. And it takes us, we worked up to like a 40-second hold per leg. And magically, it kind of takes care of a lot of things rather than having to waste too much time. Especially in a big setting, it gets to be a pain in the ass, especially with when you got to bring out the benches and then this kid wants to do this, whatever. For powerlifting, unless you have, like you said, a mobility thing, but you're right. If you're going to do it, it would be dressed in the warm up as part of your mobility or on your off day, because you don't have to do them, you know, 1 million pounds. When I was at Arizona, we did, I'm sure Rhodes remembers, we did like lunges and single leg squats. It's also a learned skill, just like any other lift.
Right.
And once I learned where to put my feet and got comfortable, I did 352 for like a triple on each leg. And I got to I'm like, but my squat didn't go anywhere and nothing really happened. I just got good at the one leg, because a lot of it, it's kind of just like we used to do one arm barbell snatches, me and a couple guys just to, fuck around. And I worked up to 191 with a barbell. And it's like, wow, that's really good. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't do anything. I just got good at a circus lift, which was what I wanted. This is what we wanted to do. We knew it didn't transfer anything. So anyway, that's I agree with you, Vincent. Unless you have it's just part of your warm up, because I don't think it's gonna, especially with young kids, Rhodes. I always tell people they can't do it on two legs.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that I do more single leg training than you do. We do a barbell rear foot elevated split squat, and we do a barbell lateral squat. And then we run the hill, we push the sleds, we run, we do agility work. It's, I think there's a place for it. I just don't think it's as big a deal from a strength development standpoint. And like you said, Jim, we address it in our warm up with different stuff. We do it all the time, so it's getting addressed. When it's time to lift, it's time to lift, and we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of equipment. I don't, so I've got to make the time and the equipment I have count, and I'm not going to waste it trying to perfect a weight room skill when they're trying to perfect their sport. Because that's mental energy spent, and the sport is way more important than the weight room is. The weight room is a tool for an athlete.
Yep.
And I would say even a little bit the same for powerlifting. The weight room is a tool for them. The tool is more important, but we got to get the squat, the bench, and the deadlift better. Yeah. There are better things to spend your time on than loading up a bar and doing single leg work.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus, I do a lot of mobility that I never even really think about. I'm especially around here. There's tons of hills. Jess and we go hiking a lot. We'll hike some difficult trails, and it always surprised me how sore I am in different places. And I'm sure there will be a joke for that. But hiking uneven terrain is a lot more mobility work than I ever really considered. And I was like, it's helped me a lot. I mean, you have to drive a half hour just to get to a hill. So where you would hike, Jim, is probably nothing like, we have around here. But I know, Matt, you go up into, you probably go up into the woods. Squeal, boy, squeal.
I do. Woo! But, the thing for us too, I think when you start talking about guys like us, if you get down on the ground and do push-ups, or you get down on the ground to stretch, getting up is mobility. I mean, as horrible as that sounds, like I make sure to get up with one leg forward and the next time get up with the other leg forward. But like, it's sometimes when you wake up in the morning, and you guys know what I'm talking about, just getting down and getting up is mobility, because it hurts sometimes.
Rehab my shoulder. I went to the well as much as I could. I started doing Turkish get-ups with a barbell because I didn't have a kettlebell.
I remember that.
And I'd do like 10 per side. And I was like, Jesus, I'm ready to go, because you're doing a lot of stuff. And that's just, again, we talked about efficiency. It covered a lot of bases. I'm good to go. I'm sweating. My shoulders feel warmed up. My hips feel warmed up. Whatever. My glutes are activated.
Yeah, got to activate those glutes, man.
So,
are you still doing them?
What's that?
Are you still doing them?
Not right now. I do. Like I did them the other day actually, but I don't have like a set warm up. I have about 15 different things I do. And now that like what I'm focusing on for the next NOV meet, so I train every day, and then I do yoga in the morning, and just not killing myself and doing all this. I don't need much of a warm up anymore because of the yoga, and plus I try to walk a lot every day. Oh, here comes my son. Oh boy. Anyway,
Hey, Matt, what's your warm up?
what's that?
Oh, go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, you talked about your warm up a little. I know a lot of people ask about this all the time, and it's something that I've changed and modified and had a million different ones. And I'm sure we've forgotten more than we've actually, most people kind of even know about warm ups. Rhodes, you seem like you've whittled yours down. I know I have. Rhodes, what do you have?
I do. I do a band stretch. If there's a hamstring, I don't know what you call it. I do a hamstring, laying on my back. I put my leg out to the side to kind of get the groin and the hamstring. I throw my leg over to get the glute and the hamstring. I cross my foot over my bent leg to stretch my glute.
You ever bring both legs really far back and kind of pump yourself?
I can't do that anymore, but I totally would.
That's all partner assisted.
Yes, yeah, exactly. PNF stretching, very important. It takes me probably 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to power right through this. I duck under a hurdle when I remember, and I touch my
That's how you got through the leg back. Powered right through it.
Yeah, oh, yeah, totally. But it's just, I think the biggest thing is it's.
Well, he's had a good sweat going.
I'm just sweating thinking about it.
Why do you look guilty, Rhodes? Because I like it so much.
Yes, exactly.
So that's why you had to take it. Is that why you had to take his AR-15 away?
Yeah.
It was all brown.
Some bad choices.
Oh, I hate you. I hate you.
Here's like an easy warm up. This is one of my many. You ready? I'll take a very light kettlebell, like 35 pounds. I'll do 10 goblet squats, 5 reps of the dumbbell. What do you call that thing, honey? Bottoms up press. Okay. With each arm, then I'll do 5 snatches per arm, then go back to the squat, back to the kettlebell, back to the snatch, and just keep on going. So you do about 5 or 10 of each one. And you're good to go. Your hamstrings are warmed up, your hips are warmed up, your shoulders are warmed up, your back's warmed up, and you don't even have to move. I mean, in a big space anyway.
I think
I've had a good, consistent one for the last month, and that's with everything feeling so great. So I've just I do 15 back raises. By the way, Jim, still the best piece of equipment. I was never so jealous as the day I saw you get that in your gym. I was there for the and the good one. What was that, like the professional line?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the exact same one. So I do 15 back raises, and I have to do that as the first thing I do with my warm up. Then I do bear crawl forwards and backwards. It's in my basement, so it's probably like 30, 40 feet.
Yep.
Then side to side, 15 push-ups and 15 squats, and I'm sweating. I feel good. Everything seems like it's moved, and I'm not doing anything that intricate in my training where I need to be more warmed up or limber than that. And it's covered all the bases really well. And it's really simple, and I don't get bored of it. And it doesn't take too long. I think one of the biggest problems I just would start adding more and more crap to my warm-up. Oh, I need to be doing these. Am I doing my band pull-aparts correctly? Oh, I got to do – and it's more information. The more information – I went a while I was really screwed up, not even looking at social media because it was just influencing too much of my training. Everything about my training, everything about my conditioning, my mobility, and it did so much harm. And I don't know as much as you two. I mean, you've both been coaches. My knowledge comes from what I've read and what I've experienced, a lot of anecdotal and just trial and error. And I even get sucked into that garbage. So I can't imagine what it's like for people who don't have, the years under the bar or the knowledge or, it's brutal out there. There's just way too much. Just keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, I think the big thing it's kind of like we talked about with training earlier. It's be economical with it. The best warm up is one that you'll do. So if you got 15 different things to do, I'm not going to do that. I will do what I'm doing right now, and I've been doing it for like 3 or 4 months. Is it great? No, but I do it. It's consistent. It kind of tackles the areas that I need a little bit of work on. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Just if you'll do it, and you feel better doing it, you feel like you're ready to lift, then it's good.
Well, it's the best workout you do is the one you're going to do. I mean, the best workout for you is the one that you. So, like, if
You can follow.
What's that?
It's the best workout you can do is the one you can follow. It's like a diet. The best diet you can do is the one you can actually follow. There's no one good diet. There's no one good training program. I mean, except for 5-3-1.
With the diet, what did Stan Efferding say? Compliance is the science. Magically, when you stick to something,
It
and
works.
it becomes a habit, it works. You know, and there you go. I'm going to read. You want me to do another here, or you want to do it? Vince?
I got one question I have to ask
All right.
because I guarantee I'm going to know Rhodes' answer. Who is the one person you love to piss off the most during training?
Oh, you love to.
It used to be Big Fat Josh. It was so easy.
I knew that was the answer.
And then I have an assistant now named Pat, and he's very sensitive. And it's so much fun to get under his skin, and it's so not right. As his boss, I'm trying to help him a little bit with. He's going to do a powerlifting meet, but it is so much fun. If I'm in a bad mood or something, I'm like, I can piss Pat off. I'm just going to do it. And it's so – I actually feel a little guilty about it. But not enough.
No, you don't.
But not enough to stop. So much fun.
Jim, did you have one at Westside? Did you have – was it either you or did someone else, that was just anybody else would just love to piss off and it was just fun?
Louis.
Yes, you pissed off Louis with your training a lot, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. But, with the hard thing, first of all, Lou dishes it out, so you can't nothing. It just goes right back on you. So, and he's always so, I don't know what people's opinion of Louis is, but in the weight room, I mean, you're training hard, but you're also having a hell of a time. And
right.
So it's, and there's a little trash talking and stuff. But, like even when I train with Kevin and Jason and stuff, I mean, it's constantly making fun of each other. And it wasn't like I didn't want to piss anyone off. You just do what you do. And, I don't know. I didn't really get too wrapped up in that. Like when I was at Westside, things were a lot different. I wasn't from Westside. You had like the core group, Dave, Lou, Chuck, and some of the older guys that had been there forever. Yeah, I was just kind of like I just came in. I was an interloper. So I really wasn't part of that as much as like Dave was, because, Dave and Lou would go head to head and stuff. And so, yeah, I didn't really give a shit, about any of that stuff. But you guys had a crew, and you guys had a lot of pretty good guys, and you got a lot of guys that need to pay their price. That's just the way it goes.
We there's a really good gym in Connecticut now. After Southside went out a bunch of years ago, a lot of people made it over. The Mike Skiba and Tanini. Remember Tanini Rhodes? They put together this place, Hellbent Barbell in Connecticut, which is really, I think they're up to 4 monoliths now. I mean, it's a really big, cool place to train. But I go in there once in a while because a few of the people I know train there, and everybody's really cool. But like I'll say kind of like the stuff we would say to each other when we trained, and like everybody just stops and looks at me.
Oh, they're so sensitive nowadays.
I'm like, even powerlifters are sensitive now.
Oh.
I'm like, Jim, I was a little behind the curve with not leaving the house, but I'm not meant for public consumption anymore. It's bad out there. It's soft. It's soft in powerlifting gyms. Like someone misses a weight and it's like someone misses a weight and the old 2 more.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of gives you a dirty look. I'm like,
yeah, you had it. You're strong enough. The weight was just too heavy. And they get sensitive.
Mostly me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We have a rule in the house. Jess and I have a rule. I actually instituted the rule, and she kind of followed along. Like, if it's funny to one person, it can be said. It doesn't matter what it is either. As long as it's funny to one person, it can and should be said. I think it makes for probably tougher people, and either it's going to strengthen your relationship or really tear it apart.
Yeah.
But so one day Jess got me really bad. I can't even remember with what it was. She goes, "It was funny to me." I was like, "Damn it!" She got me with my own rule.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Good time.
That's all I got.
All right.
James, what's next?
All right. Let me bring this up real quick here. All right. Here's something relevant for the day. My home gym, I have a barbell, bands, kettlebells, rack, and bench. Anything I could do with those for hamstring work? Yeah, that's my wife just said, what? People tell me that the squat beds do nothing for ham, so I'll just make this very clear. You can do good mornings. You can do straight leg deadlifts, not necessarily as a strength movement, but as a stretching movement, so you have a lot of hamstring activation. Obviously, you can do kettlebell swings and snatches and stuff. You can also do band leg curls with the bands and the what they call Nordic leg curls or whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah, the partner glute ham type deals.
Yeah. So, but it's a very interesting question because, and this is not to disparage this guy, it's what were you doing for hamstrings before? Because that's what everyone else does. At least I think they do, right? I mean, you have everything you need.
Right. You have everything you need to train your hamstrings. I mean,
Don't tell me deadlifts don't train.
unless you're missing your glute ham raise, if that's all you ever did. I mean, you get plenty of barbell exercises.
It's very strange that in this day and age, if you can do everything you need to do with a rack and a barbell. Hell, you can do pretty much everything with squat stands and a barbell. So I don't know. Again, It's kind of like what you referenced, Vincent. Maybe things are getting so overwhelming that people believe that you need this, and this, when in reality, you just kind of have to look to the past a little bit.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Oh, here's a good one. Who's got? I have no idea. This would be we should do this and have EMTs on standby at our next NOV. Who's got the fastest 40 among you?
I would say Jim had it.
Jim definitely had it, but right now, I think it would take about a 2-hour warm up for each of us.
Well, I mean, do we have to run the 40? Can it be a fast walk?
Well, I'm saying,
whoever's fastest.
Can I drive my truck or?
Right.
Because now it's starting to get weird. Because I'll go lawyer on this shit and start. Well, you didn't specify, Yeah. And then can I have someone in my stead? Like a sponsor.
Yeah. Could you put in a pinch runner? Yeah. I like it.
They're going to represent me in the 40-yard dash.
Juliet will run for you. We'll all be done.
No, she'll do one race. She'll jog. We'll all get the same time, and we'll all be happy because we're all winners.
We're all winners. I love it.
You got something over there, Vincent?
Oh,
yes. Josh, come on. Bring it on, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
Boo!
The last person to throw a punch would win because that would be the only one who still had their shoulder intact.
Well, the other thing is whoever fell down is out of the race because they're not getting up. What was that now? Peak conditioning.
My arms wouldn't reach far. My arms wouldn't reach far enough to hit any of them. It would be like an alligator trying to throw a punch.
That's why the T-Rex was so upset all the time. He couldn't masturbate. His arms were too.
Yeah.
What was that? Oh, give me another one. What's the next one? Yeah. What? You go spend that money well. Sorry. I think Rhodes is stuck over here. Are you stuck, Rhodes? I think Rhodes.
Oh my God!
Look at that stupid.
He looks fantastic.
It's perfect, Rhodes.
It's the best he's ever looked. I got it. That's the most intelligent thing that's ever come out of his mouth.
Look at that stupid face. All right, here's something real quick, Vincent. We'll do this. What's something you know now that you wish you knew in your 20s?
I wish I knew how important nutrition.
No training. No training. Let's do something.
Yeah. Oh, nothing to do with weightlifting?
Yeah, let's just do the...
All right, I'll just go life-wise. Man, in my 20s, I had gotten lucky enough to be with Jessica, and I had already learned great lessons from we talk about these.
Yeah.
From my father. My father taught me the importance of finance, how to pay my bills, not to be in debt, not to live beyond my means, to have my job. My dad was a business owner, but my dad taught me, the importance of having benefits. So all of those life lessons I kind of learned really young. I worked from a young age and never lived beyond my means. And I that's why I've been with the same woman for 28, 29 years. I've never had financial problems. I'm the happiest, most adjusted person that I know, which is kind of weird to say, but it's because I really learned a lot of those good lessons from a young age, and I clung on to it. Plus, I have Jess, just like you have Juliet, to keep you on the straight. Find a good woman to keep you in your place. Not that sounds weird.
Well,
find a good woman to keep you on the right path.
Well, you guys are going on it together. And I have fairly similar as far as what you said. It's not like I ever held on to some odd philosophy when I was 20, and it proved to be wrong. Like, my parents did a good job. That doesn't mean I didn't take some crooked paths here and there, but for the most part,
yeah,
things were solid. I think the one thing that I see it, especially see it now at what's going on now. I wish I would have been more grateful, because, and I say this a lot. I said, there's not a single time I've driven up to my house and not been so happy and proud.
Right.
It's not the biggest house. It's not the nicest house, but I'm like, holy shit, I have a home, and it's not lost on me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there he is. It's not lost on me there. And, my wife always jokes, like, in America, you get to shit in clean water. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And the more that you see all what's going on right now, all of a sudden, all the things that were important 3 months ago, we were joking about this before. Our biggest problem was fucking pronouns. And now it's like, holy cow, things are, now we understand what's really important. And and I see it like, if I go get some food, I thank the person. I always thank the people. I'm like, man, I appreciate you working, because without you, I wouldn't be able to get a cheeseburger. And so I'm grateful for a lot of things. And I'm not saying I was ungrateful, but you take a lot of shit for granted. And I think people like, Vincent, like all three of us, I'm so grateful I don't live in a big city. What a shit show those places are.
Yeah.
And not just with the coronavirus, with everything else. Like, we have a community here. I don't feel like I'm one in, just a random soul walking around. Like, you have a purpose. And I'm sure we can go through a bunch of stuff about why I'm grateful I live in America, where I have the right to defend myself. Like, no other country has that. Well,
no, we definitely hit the geography lottery, and I think people don't realize that. And I say that, like, when I would go into work, and even on the toughest days, and people have a lot to complain about, but I'm like, they're like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm great. I got running water and a toilet and a roof, which is probably more than half the population of the world.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of perspective. I've always had good perspective. I grew up poor. I think growing up poor, poor, like,
America.
Poor, like wearing other people's. Yeah, American poor, but wearing my brother's hand-me-down, not sure exactly where the next meal is coming from, that kind of stuff. And I think now, poor to people is, not having Jordans and, not having the latest iPhone. And luckily from my youth, I learned none of that stuff is important.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing to me, that, you know, I have my gym, I have my wife, my parents, I got my dog, I got a few friends that I'm grateful for, you two clowns included. And what else do I really need? I got a job.
Yeah. Rhodes, the question that I read off is, I don't have my glasses. What's something you know now that you wish you knew in your 20s? And both Vincent and I said, you know, luckily we had, and just like you, Rhodes, you had parents that put you didn't believe in some weird dogma in your 20s. They're like, holy shit, like, the pig is God. Long live the pig. You know, so I think both of us for the most part. Now, how about we do in regards to training? Sorry, Rhodes, you get his answer is what we answer.
Yeah, well, pretty much what I heard. Yeah, I agree.
So whatever. So how about in your 20s or whatever? What do you wish you knew then? And we kind of already answered that question about the conditioning and the mobility stuff, right? As far as training.
I think I was lucky.
Yeah, I think.
Like when I went to Arizona, I didn't know anything about training, so I just did what Dan told me to do. My powerlifting world, I wasn't without Vincent or you for very long. So whenever I had questions, you would tell me, read this article. I would read it. I would follow it. Vincent would tell me what to do. So I definitely made some mistakes, but I just kind of was like, oh, okay, this guy's better than I am. I'm going to just do it. And then you learn along the way. I think I was lucky because I didn't do a lot of dumb stuff because I just listened to people that knew what they were talking about. So I think I was lucky.
You know, one of the big things I always read is just because a guy is big and strong doesn't mean he knows a lot or something to that effect. Now, that is completely true. However, just because
Glad to know something.
Well, the other thing is, like, just because he's big and strong doesn't mean he's a great coach. And you're exactly, that's different. Being a coach is an art or whatever, a skill and an art, all that stuff. But it wouldn't kill you to take a look at what some of these guys are doing, because for the most part, if you look at someone who's big and strong and you look at the guy over here and over there, they're all kind of doing the same thing. If you really take a step back.
Yep.
Again, that's, when it goes back to what Vincent said about him, even now you get overwhelmed by the amount of information. It's just, and like you said, I'm glad we all grew up when we grew up as far as training goes. And dude, the 90s were the best goddamn time in the world. Like, I was think about that.
Oh yeah.
Like Pearl Jam, Soundgarden,
Alice in Chains.
Like that was pop music. Nirvana,
Pantera. Yeah,
Pantera was #1 on Billboard. Like there was a time when like the people spoke. Now it's just like, here's the recycled garbage. Enjoy it. Oh, all right. Like, so it was a very different time to grow up. And I remember a kid one day during practice comes up to me. He's like, man, what was it like growing up when you did? It must have been awesome. Like there was no phones. Like you could just do stuff. I'm like, yeah, it was awesome. Of course we didn't know any better, but
right.
I don't know. It just, I growing up now, without sounding ungrateful, I think is a little harder because they make it to be. You can still live a very simple, awesome life as a teenager without being overwhelmed. The key is you have to ignore the real world, or the fake world, I should say.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Vincent, you got a question there, buddy?
I did, but okay. Well, let me throw this one out there because what's your opinion on circuit training? I know both of you have opinions on that, and you kind of had me go through a phase for a while, and that worked out really well. But when did you kind of fall in love with, or where I'm sure circuit training isn't something you kind of came up the ranks with.
No, and there's a lot of different things. It depends on kind of what you're training for. I just developed a strength training that the goal of this circuit is strength, not hypertrophy or whatever. And I originally got the idea from George Halbert, believe it or not, and that was in 2002 or something. I remember him talking about what he was doing, and it just kind of occurred to me. So I kind of played around with some stuff. So the thing that you have to remember is whatever your goal is, that's what the circuit has to be. For example, when you started doing what you were doing, Vincent, the goal was to obviously gain muscle mass, right, and drop body fat, which again was mostly diet, but this helped accelerate it without affecting your strength too much because you were doing like face
correct,
and whatever. And Rhodes does this too with our kids. The reason why we started doing circuit training on a clock, and was my goal with assistance is to put muscle mass on, and it's incredibly efficient when you're running big groups. And I think that's one of the keys. It's kind of like we stumbled upon it, and we get all our assistance work done in 15 minutes, and the kids do anywhere from 150 to 200 total reps of all the exercises combined. That's a lot of work in a short amount of time. The kids are able to handle the same amount of weight. They get a little conditioning in there, and we accomplish the goal, which is hypertrophy for the assistance work. So the problem is if you do circuit training, it has to be done with whatever the real purpose is and not expecting to get a result if you don't train like that result. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's good, but it has to be done.
Rhodes,
what's that?
Rhodes, you've done. I see in your log. You experiment with your circuit. You have a hypertrophy, circuit, and I think you have a conditioning circuit.
Yeah, all it really is so the hypertrophy circuit for me is based off of a bunch of the stuff that Boyd Epley and Mike Arthur did at Nebraska. It's not like what they did. It's based off of that. And the idea is I'm going to do all my close grip bench sets first. Then I'm going to move on to my back. Then I'm going to move on to hamstrings or whatever's in it. And then the metabolic circuit is what I call it. Yeah. Is I'm going to do whatever, bench, back, and hamstrings, but I'm going to do each exercise, then repeat that. So it takes the exact same amount of time. I don't know if they're any different, but in my head, that's what I named them. So when I talk to my assistants, I don't have to explain what I'm saying. It's here's what we're doing, hypertrophy circuit. Okay, we're going to do all our sets, then we're going to move on and so forth.
So this, for people that don't understand, this is what it would look like, for example. So one of Rhodes' circuit will be, let's say, for example, you're going to bench press, dumbbell squat, and chin up. Okay. Yep. So one of his circuits will be you'll bench, and then every minute on the minute, or you'll do one set of bench, and then the bell goes off or whatever. Then you do a set of dumbbell squats, then a bell goes off, and you the chin-ups, and then you just keep on going. His other circuit would be you do the bench for 10 reps, you rack the bar at the next every minute on the minute, then you bench again. So you get all three of them done, all three sets done, then you move on to the next exercise.
Exactly.
That's a little more efficient for I believe for hypertrophy. The problem lies, of course, you get exhausted, like your muscle, and that's kind of what the goal is, and that's where people I think kind of screw up, because if your goal is hypertrophy, it's okay that you start missing some reps here and there, especially on stuff that's more compound, stuff like that. So it's the number. It's I did it for, again, hypertrophy, but it ended up being perfect because we get it. It's much more efficient, and that's what I'm all about. You got 50, 60 kids in there. You got to, if you just leave them to, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, and then you just stand there, nothing's going to get done. And the kids will take 50 minutes, to get all their shit done when reality is we can get this shit done, and everyone's accountable. So,
yeah, the thing I found with the circuits, especially in the bigger groups, is nobody can hide. You can catch kids skipping reps, skipping sets, and when they're on the clock and in between, it takes whatever, 20 to 30 seconds to do a set, and then everyone's standing around. So you look, everyone's standing. Then you look, everyone's doing something. So it's much easier to keep kids accountable. Like Jim said, it's efficient. And when you're training athletes, there's so many things that you have to take into account. It now frees up time to spend a little more time doing mobility at the end, or maybe some, focused ab work that actually matters, not crunches and leg raises. And
maybe they can go home and take a break.
Right, exactly. If you get it done, I've got an hour with you. If you get it done in 40 minutes, I'm not going to keep you. We've done we've done what needs to be done. You're good. You could stay and stretch, or you can do some curls or whatever it is. But yeah, we're not going to do more. We did what we were supposed to do. You did a hell of a job. Congratulations.
You get rewarded.
Yeah.
Hey, I have old man prostate. I'll be back in 2.
Be safe out there, buddy.
He took – look at his face. Oh, he was like that. Hey, all right. You want to do a question here, Rhodes?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's see here. Hold on 1 second here.
One question I got, it's not right here in front of me, but it was, as coaches, what do you think the most important thing is when we get our athletes back? It's basically that, like, what's the first thing we have to focus on when we get them back? Yep.
And I told them, 1, don't freak out. You're not going to lose all your strength. But number 2, the number 1 thing that you guys need to focus on is not losing your general fitness level.
Yes.
Because that's going to go in the shitter. And if, for example, if they're able to do like the Raider warm-up, a bunch of body weight squats, run hills, do chin-ups at the playground, do push-ups, and do that every single day, maybe their bench press goes down or their squat goes down, but they'll have enough fitness, and I use that term very generally, their fitness level will be there he is, will be such that they'll be able to jump right back in. Okay?
Yes. Yeah, I agree 100%. You got to get their ability to do work where it needs to be, and a lot of it's on them to do it. And then because what I find is in the wintertime, I don't have hands-on like you do. So I lose the kids in the winter for 2 months, and you hope that they do work. And, you can hope in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up. Some kids don't do anything.
Rhodes is obviously German.
Yeah. So they'll come back, and they can usually handle the first week. They can handle the second week. And then by the third week, you start hearing about muscle strains and pulls and patella, because they didn't do anything to keep their fitness levels up over break. So whenever we get them back, you got to be careful about that. And they're going to want to dive in head first.
You know what? Here's a real quick. I don't know if I told you this. So once the school officially shut down, and this is before they started really being anal about everything, the parents got together. One of them cleared out a barn that they had, and they moved a bunch of the racks and all the weights and bars and trap bars into the barn.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
that's why you guys win.
Yeah. And it was just like, I was in Florida at the time. And I was like, well, that's all, so I was communicating with the kids, and I had one point person. Yeah. But it ended up getting shut down right away.
Right.
But it's just like a testament to how things are, football's not the world. I get it, but it's taken very seriously because if you're going to play football, you might as well be ready.
Yeah. It explains why you guys win, because your kids care and they're going to figure out a way to get done what needs to get done. It's awesome.
But that was gone right away. It's unfortunate. So, but I was just so proud. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, kids are all wrenching down the racks and stuff. And then obviously the order hit from our governor and stuff. So but anyway, the point being is, it's just, again, the fitness level. And the good thing is there's like a core group of kids who have done a great job.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is in football, your core group is fine, but you need everyone else on board. And it's ironically the kids who need it the most that probably won't do it.
Yep.
It's like, the thing is anything you can do is going to be a huge leg up because you don't expect everyone else to be able to do it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I hope kids are out doing bodyweight squats and running, even if it's the wrong kind of running for their sport. Do something to keep your fitness levels up because it will pay huge dividends when we get back to normal and training, to prepare for your season or, like right now, I think football, soccer, volleyball, all those fall sports, it's going to be tough. But sports like baseball and softball and like they got whenever this is over, they've got a whole off season to get themselves back. But I'm worried about them, but I'm more worried about the footballs, the soccers, the volleyballs, that those kids are going to almost step right back into their season.
Yeah, one of the things we should probably point out is when they do come back, you can't. Let's say it's when does football start? Like last week of August or so.
Yeah, we report right around August 1st, but August sometime.
Okay, well, I'm talking about the season, the actual season.
Yeah, right.
So let's say you're able to come back July 1st, just as a reference point.
Yep.
You can't make up for lost time. You can't cram for the season.
Nope.
So I think you have to usher the kids in because they're going to get hurt. They're going to get sore. They're not going to be able to do the same weights. So you're going to have to develop something almost like an in-season workout at the beginning to get their bodies adjusted. So I think
what you have to do is we're not getting them ready to test.
Yeah.
We're getting them ready to go to preseason camp.
Yeah.
And that means their ability to run and be powerful over time, we have to improve that. First and foremost, we got to get them stronger, but we only have 4 weeks, say, in this example. They have to be able to handle practice. And now with this, we're missing out on spring ball. So those practices are going to be a little bit longer because they've got to install stuff. And I know that for us, for instance, we changed some terminology and stuff. So we didn't get to do that in spring ball. So we're going to have to do it.
Is every pass going to be a run now, I hope?
What's that?
Is every pass going to be a run?
Oh, God, I wish. I wish.
You got to see.
Inside zone, outside zone, power, counter. Let's do it. Put 2 tight ends in there, but no, that's not what it is.
It's got to the point, Vincent, and I know obviously you're not as big of a football fan as me and Matt, but you go to our games and it's the shortest games in the world.
They're awesome.
You'll get home because we just run the shit out of the ball, just milk the clock.
By the time your feet start to hurt, you're like, all right, are we going to go to Popeyes or are we going to go to that Italian place and get chicken parm?
I mean, it's very amusing in a way. It was so amusing that we played a team one time and beat the crap out of them, and then their Twitter feed at the school said, "I'm pretty sure they didn't throw a single pass all game." And sure enough, nope.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
That's as a strength coach and someone like Matt, we love running the ball. It makes me so proud. that our kids are that. And the thing is, everyone knows we're running the ball. They just stack 11 guys in there. Like, all right, we'll fucking run it right there.
Yeah, and the cool thing about running the ball is when you run the ball on offense, your defense is going to be good against the run. So now you've potentially cut the other team's offense in half. And when you run the ball, you can impose your will on somebody. You can take somebody's heart and soul and desire to live.
Yep.
And you can't do that with the pass.
That's where my AR-15 is.
Right. From a football standpoint.
Well, that's why I had to take it from Matt because they pass too much.
Yeah. You're right. I don't deserve to have such a fine weapon.
What's that now?
I don't deserve to have such a fine weapon.
2 years ago, we averaged about 500 yards rushing a game. I think what ended up happening was that year we could have averaged at least 600, but we blew out every team. So by the second half, we had most of our freshmen in. And so we'd still run, but it wasn't like, we had a 3,000-yard rusher, a 1,500-yard rusher in the same season. It was insane. Yeah. So, but anyway.
Shades of Nebraska in the 90s.
So, and it's funny because we are a very good team. We're not the best team in Ohio, but we can, we will hopefully get there. But we have still people critical of us, fans, because they want us to pass the ball more. It's like, we're fucking winning 56-0. Like, isn't that?
Yeah.
Isn't that good? No, it's not good. Would you rather have us lose?
2 years ago, Jeff Monken and Army went 11-2, and they lost to Oklahoma, who went to the the CFB playoffs, and they lost to Duke, who ended up going like 10-3 that year.
Yeah, and that was like the second game of the year.
And the fans were like, it's like we're 11-2. The Army's never done that before, and you're going to complain? Like, are you stupid?
Yep.
Talk about if you guys threw the ball 70 times a game, they'd complain about that too.
So, all right, Vincent, how about you, or Josh, you got any more though? Questions? Yeah.
Means Jim gets paid every week or every month.
That's right. It means I've saved my money, thankfully. Yeah. That's
Long Beach Community College.
This was probably in 2001.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. I was still in Kentucky, and 2002 or something. And so Dave called me up one day to talk about something, and he's like, "Hey, your buddy, the volleyball player, stopped by." And I was like, "What? I don't know. I'm racking my brain." He's like, and then he started talking. I'm like, "Well, I know Matt just went down." I'm like, "You talking about Rhodes?" Like, "Oh yeah, that guy." I was like, "Oh man." So
I was a little skinny at the time. Yeah, I was skinny at 6'4", 250 pounds.
Yep. So. Oh, that's all me. I have a definite firebug in me. I love setting shit on fire. We went. Shit, I can't remember. We went out and spent some time out in. I can't remember where it was. It was a beautiful place in Ohio. It's got all these national parks, and they had a fire pit. Right? What's that? Yeah, Hocking Hills. And we rented a place up there for 4 or 5 days. And I built the biggest fucking bonfire. I was just chopping down wood, trying to. Oh, it was awesome. We took pictures like a pyramid. I felt I was like at Texas A&M when they light the bonfire.
Yeah.
So anyway. Yeah. Cracker Barrel, 1,000% over.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Popeye.
Been to Canes.
Canes is good, but Popeyes is right here.
Yeah.
We went to Canes, though, at one time.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I can't hear Vincent, man.
Nice.
Uh-oh.
Cane's is good, but like if I'm in the mood for fried chicken, I want Popeyes. If I want chicken strips or whatever they're called, I definitely love Cane's.
Yes. And who did we take to Cane's that one time? When we went
Tony, my buddy Tony.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think had he been there before?
No, I don't think he had been.
Josh is right. It's
So good.
And the bread.
Yes.
That stupid loaf of bread. Can you hear me, Vincent? There we go.
Better, I could see you.
Oh, boy.
Nice.
Do we have like a weird echo going on here?
I thought I heard an echo.
Yeah, he's repeating every word.
The hell's going on, Josh? Yeah. I don't know. I just logged back on.
Did you hear that, Matt?
Yeah, I get to hear Vincent twice. Awesome.
It's like a bad dubbed movie.
Yeah, it's like Goodfellas. Tommy 2 times.
Yeah.
Go get the papers. Get the papers.
All I had to do was go to the bathroom. What the hell happened?
Oh, you're back to normal now.
Back to normal. All right. Hang on. I gotta share one thing.
Yep.
Can you see this?
What is it?
The greatest love note of all time.
Yes.
Hang on, Rhodes. Go get your binoculars.
Hey, you know what? I almost put my glasses on for this.
Have you seen those glasses?
I gotta share it. They could probably set a fire anywhere he turns his head.
Anywhere. Bottles,
right?
Isn't that the character's name? Bottles?
Yeah.
Bottles. Oh my God, that's right. That wasn't you.
The first time I put my
forgot that
glasses on, I
nickname.
looked at Jim at his house. I put them on late at night. It was like 11:30. My contacts were killing me. I look over at him and he goes, "Dude, you stop. You can't look at me."
Jim, what was that movie with bottles?
Sicario.
No, it was the same character, but
It was the prison movie.
Oh, you're talking about Shot Caller.
Yes.
Yes. And we were watching it that night at your place.
Yeah.
And we both just looked over at Matt with the 3-inch eyeglasses and just bottles. You know when a nickname just sticks? Like, it's like, damn it. There's no way I'm getting rid of this nickname. Just turn around, bottles.
Yeah.
Greatest nickname ever.
Yeah. My glasses, because I don't have lenses in my eyes, are thick at the top, thick at the bottom, and even thicker in the middle. I look like a freaking cartoon character. It's ridiculous.
It's too good. No, I gotta share.
Go ahead.
This note. Gotta share. I'm presenting at a seminar, and I don't even know if you were presenting at this one, Jim. All I remember is I'm sitting there in the middle of speaking. Jim walks by and just hands me a note. Like, I'm like, what? And just to Vincent, be awesome, Jim, $531 I don't know if I still have this from my wife, but I still have my love note from Jim. Awesome. I don't know what that says about our relationship.
The combination to a safe that had $1 million.
Right.
Like
was important. So I was sitting here at my work desk and I was like, I don't know what made me think of it, but it was in my folder. I'm like, I bet I still have that, because when we moved, I found it. And I'm like, I can't believe I still have my love note from Jim. And maybe I'll frame it and put it in my gym.
That's what I was just doing. That's what I would.
Oh man.
All right, Josh. Josh, hit us, Josh. What do you got?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh boy.
My buddy Harley that I used to train with did them. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's give it a shot. And then I got eviscerated on Callie Morundi's forum for saying that it was easy. Because for me at the time, it was, and then I got a call from Callie. She's like, "Thank you so much. We're getting so much traffic." And so I just kept doing it. I just kept like putting flames on the fire when people would tell me how much I sucked and all that stuff. And it was a good time.
So really, people were upset that you did it?
No, they were upset that I said it was easy. And what I meant was the events that were at the strongman contest that I did suited my abilities.
Yeah.
And it was easy for me. Strongman's not easy. That particular contest.
Who cares? Fuck them.
Right. Well, but this was back in the day when I cared about what people said on the internet and I took it personally and I got butt hurt by it. And it was a fun time though.
We met, that's where we met Brian Shaw. We met Brian Shaw, and he was, even back then, he was an absolute monster. Yeah. I couldn't imagine what he's like to stand next to now, because probably twice the size he was then. But he was still, at that time, we've seen some big humans in our life. Yeah. So it only makes me wonder what Thor must look like, because
this was 3 weeks. So I did this.
06.
No, this was closer to 10 because I think I did it before my last geared meet. And someone had called me out and they're like, "You won't come to Philly and do this." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go. I don't care if I lose. I'm not a strong man." So I trained for my power.
I'm used to losing.
The power through that one too.
That's awesome.
And I went down and I did it. And all the pros were really cool. It turns out the pros didn't care what I said.
Yeah.
It was all the amateur nobodies who were butt hurt by it. But I had a blast. And then 3 weeks later, I did my last geared meet. Something like that.
Yeah.
So it was probably 2009, 2010, something like that. Yeah, he was ginormous.
It's amazing how strong people don't really have shit to say. Like, they're not the ones calling people out or starting crap. Strong people are like, I don't care. I'm too busy being strong to worry about what not strong people think about.
Well, it's the people that have no core or belief that get upset, because if you really believe in what you're doing, you're okay with someone disagreeing with you. And that's why the people that yell the loudest are always I'm not saying training wise, just in general, are the weakest. Because if you really, like, I think my wife's the most beautiful woman in the world. I love her to death. She's awesome. And if someone says, "No, she's not," I'm like, all right, then that's fine. Like, why don't I give a fuck what you think?
Right.
So, it doesn't matter to me what you think. And so it's just, it's the same kind of thing. And it's always going to be like that. You have people who are, and they're young and they don't understand a lot of stuff. And so who gives, it's someone just sent me a video, some guy ripped me to shreds. And I was like, he's like, "You got to watch this." I'm like, "Well, first of all, he's not my peer, so why do I care what he thinks?" And then I was like, and I always like the one thing, one of the table talks I did, I'm like, "Well, make sure you ask all our opponents here in Ohio what they think." Yeah, good luck with that one. Yeah. So, what are you going to do? I don't know. Things, I think you guys are probably, for the most part, everything just kind of rolls off. And, the one thing that I've always learned is, it was funny because, like, you see a lot of people rip on Lou, and it's like, what are you going to rip on? Like, the dude's done everything. The number one reason why they do that stuff is to get views, or likes or whatever. Yeah. Because if they don't use your name or someone else, then no one's going to click on it. So anyway, I take it as a like, it's almost like awesome. Like, yeah, all right, I made it.
Well,
Well, it's funny. Vincent,
that was the first time.
I was all fired up about someone ripping me when I first got on Elite and all that stuff. And Vincent's like, "Dude, you made it." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, if you're nobody, they're not going to make fun of you. You're obviously somebody now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm somebody now. That's awesome. But it really helped my perspective.
What's very funny is when Tom Brady went to Tampa, people are ripping on Tom Brady, not even because he went to Tampa, just in general. I'm like, dude, he's the fucking greatest goddamn football player to ever play. Like, what else do you want this guy to do?
Yeah.
For 20 years, it was.
Go ahead. And with the amount Matt has gotten ripped on, you'd think he was the most impressive human being to ever walk the face of the earth.
I am.
You think Tom Brady?
That's what my mommy told me.
No, my mom says I suck too.
Yeah. All I know is we all won that. All right. Well.
I actually have one question I want to throw out because it was asked, and I'm at this right now. How important is deload with 5-3-1 and just deload in general? And I'm just going to say, Jim and Matt, you answer that. But I'm at week 6. I've gone through my rotation, twice now, and I don't feel like I need a deload. But at what point, I guess you should deload before you really feel like you need to deload, and how far, how many weeks could I possibly push it? And I think that's what I'm asking you two guys right now.
I think I'm going to answer for Jim. This is what I think. It's kind of like if you're thirsty, you've waited too long, you're already dehydrated. I think, yeah.
If you're trying to gain weight and you're hungry, you're already lost.
But I think the beauty of Jim's program and the way he goes about things is that the reason you can make progress for so long is because of the program deloads, either every 4th week or, you run 2 cycles and you do it every 6th week, is you never get too beat up. You never push too hard, so that plateau of either strength plateau or injury plateau gets pushed out so freaking far, and it keeps getting pushed out because you're never too greedy with what you're doing, that you can make progress for years without ever running into a problem if you stick to the plan of, again, it's every 4 weeks or every 6 weeks, every 4th week or every 7th week.
Yeah.
You do it because you don't need it, so you never get banged up.
Yeah, it's always the geez, what was that?
I got that too.
It's my phone.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's in like Vince or Matt said. You got to do it before you need. Or that was Vincent. You got to do it before you need it. And we've had. I think I've wrote maybe 5 or 7 different variations of the deload that you can do. That depending on, and one lift might be different than the other lift. For example, when I deload. I would deload the bench by going lighter on the deadlift. I would just do no deadlifts. I would just do all assistance work. And on the squat, the same thing as the deadlift. So with the press, I did just like the bench. So I was able to, you can mix and match different things and what works for you. Because obviously the squat and deadlift, much more stressful to your body. But, how do I put this? I think a lot of energy's been spent towards the deload, and it's like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like, if you, what do you want me to say? This has just been my experience. I mean, we deloaded in high school. That's when we learned. I learned about that. So I think people have this weird fictitious notion that if you're young, you can do everything 100,000%, and that's not the case. They want to believe it, but it's not the way it goes. So.
Yep.
So for me, just for my own selfishness, it's 6 weeks the longest I should run before I take a deload.
Yeah, and you know what? The smarter you get about your own training, you'll be able to recognize the things that maybe like are indicators for a deload. And sometimes you'll do 5 weeks. Like, you know what? I'm going to take this week. I got to get my shit back together and then just come back stronger. Like I did something where I do 3-5 deload, like a certain kind of deload. Then we do the 5-3-1 week, coming back completely fresh. And it's, different stuff. And so then on the 5 week, we would do something a little bit different, knowing that was a deload. There's a million things you can do. What's addressed in the first book, the second, every book I've written is everything has to be based on the principles. It's not the magic rep scheme or anything like that. If you follow the principles, man, everything makes sense then. So that's what everything is based on. So if you don't like my principles, that's fine. You can always, that's okay with me. But my God, even if you're not, whatever Rhodes is doing is based on principles. So you could change out an exercise. It's not, it's not the end of the world. I don't know. So I think people get too wrapped up in the minutia and not understanding the big picture. We're like, I can make this change. Well, does it follow the principles? Yep. You're good to go. Own it.
Yep. I try to explain.
I never consider.
What's that?
I never consider. It's just a perfectly valid point. But I get so caught up in my training and just Matt knows me. I'm fastidious about what I'll write down and make sure everything's just planned out. But yeah, at this point in my life, if I'm at weeks, I'm going every 6 weeks, but at week 5 or week 4, I'm like, I need a deload. Like I never, as simple as that sounds, it's something I've never even considered. And that's it sounds stupid. Like, no, I got to either do it at week 4 or week 7. Like, oh boy, I feel lousy. I could deload at week 2 or week 6. So again, for someone who's trained as long as I have and has amassed the knowledge that I have, something so simple never even really occurred to me because I do get very, I'm a slave to structure sometimes, but the stuff I've been getting the last week from you guys has been really instrumental. So that's great advice that I haven't considered.
Juliet said something the last time I was up there, whatever. She said, it's interesting.
Get out of the house. Don't come back.
Yeah. It was before that. She said,
wash your feet.
Yeah. Coaches need to be.
Put on a mask.
God damn it, Vincent.
Oh, man, you should have heard his story. Oh.
Take a bath.
I shower all the time, dude.
Come here, baby.
You do. Rhodes always smells very good.
I do. I don't want to be the smelly fat guy.
I learned that from you. Don't be the smelly fat guy.
Smelly fat guy, because I'll bring a bottle of Febreze and spray you with it if you are.
String cheese and
He said meat stick.
I don't even know what we were talking about.
something Juliet said to you.
Oh, yeah. She had said a coach, and this goes for a lifter too, is you got to be a type A and a type B personality. Like type A, very meticulous about what you're doing, understand the progression, the plan, be dialed in with your technique, all that stuff. But then you also have to be smart enough to look at, for Jim and I, to look at a group, yourself, to look at yourself and go, they can't do what's on the piece of paper today. Bingo. And that really stuck with me when she said that. And it's understanding, here's what I have written down. When these kids walked in today, you could see it in their eyes. This was going to kill them, which might then affect the next workout, which might ruin the week, and so on. So it's important to have the paper and the plan, but it's the art is the plan's going to suck today. What do I need to do to adjust so that we can get back on the plan next time?
Yes.
And I think that's something that you, Vincent, are probably going to start to learn better and better now. Jim and I think, see it because we see kids so often.
Yeah.
You start to pick up on these kids look like they got great energy. I'm good to go. These kids look terrible. Why? It's midterms. We ran the hell out of them on Friday, and they're still feeling the effects. Whatever it is,
Yeah, there's shit that you can't even.
You have the plan, but the plan is super flexible, like Juliet just said.
I'm having.
Well, that's the one thing that I've really loved about the one thing I've really loved with my training is that, I have been started. Every week doesn't have to be AMRAP.
No.
If I'm doing my deadlift and if I don't feel up for it, I can just shut it down. I think I texted Matt. I think I did something for like 16 in my head. I'm like, I'm going for 20 because I got 20 last week. And at 16, I'm like, I feel worked enough. What's the sense? And I just put it down.
Live the fight another
so I'm
day.
getting a little better. Yeah.
Yep.
Consistency trumps everything. But I kind of, since not competing and not having that kind of structure, I will waver, I'll get off path. And I realized what I did while I was competing was the best. Those are the lessons I need to carry over now. Like I talked about, my greatest gains were 15 pounds. It took me 5 years to go from 585. 3 years ago from 585 to a 600 bench. I didn't complain. I just followed the process. But now without competing, my path wanders. And I think I've really gotten to a good place where I'm like, okay, now these little fine tuning, like, okay, yeah, deload week 7, or if I need to, deload week 4. Condition, it's not my priority. It's got to take a back seat. Doesn't mean don't do it. It's just my number one priority, and I have to train it as such. So I think I'm better at coaching other people than I am at coaching myself. And I'll give them advice and tell them what to do. It's like, do as I say, not as I do. And you end up screwing yourself. But it's taken a long time to unscrew myself.
This is my challenge to you then, Vincent. Let's just say for shits and giggles, we have a meet here in July. I don't know if you'll be, what the situation is going to be like. So then you don't have to answer this right now. Like in our group text, I told you the 2 things I kind of wanted to do. I'll probably do either both of them or just one of them. Okay. You need to figure out at this meet what you want to do. That will drive your training beyond belief. For example, when I was in Florida, that's when I started thinking about like, listen, I really want to do this, whatever. What I wrote to you guys, I came through. I had to do a lot of thinking about it. As soon as I put that down on paper, everything made sense to me. All my training made sense. You got it, and it's not like anything. It's not my groundbreaking here, but I think, Vincent, you need to figure out. And it has to be reasonable because of your past, your injuries and stuff. Like, right. I don't know what it is, but let's just say, for example, listen, I really like the trap bar deadlift or whatever, 455 for 5 or something. Whatever. I don't know what it is, but it needs to be something totally amazingly concrete. And you have to, once you do, and then do whatever upper body thing you want to do. But I think you really need to do that, Vincent. I think you need to sit down and fucking plant your goddamn flag. Because that. Yeah,
well, it's funny you said that. No, I want a trap bar. Now here's the stupid question. So if I haven't been, I'm doing all AMRAP. Yeah, I've been taking very moderate weights, feel great. Most of my AMRAPs are up in the, between 50 and 20 range, but my technique has been, meticulous on the various versions of the lifts that I do. Yeah. So I'd like to trap bar deadlift for just a max single and do the Swiss bar or football bar, whatever you got there, for just a max single. Is it stupid? I won't be one of the biggest problems I've had in the past when we're doing our NOV meet. I probably did a little more testing and probably ramped up my weights. Now I know I won't ramp anything up. I will just follow the natural progression and not do anything differently leading up and just test that day. But do you think at the point I am, just going for singles that day is stupid?
That's your goal. That's your goal. What I do think would be stupid, though, do you feel good right now, Vincent?
I feel fantastic.
Then don't change a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would probably tell you to do is whatever you're doing, like you keep track of your diet and shit, but whatever you're doing, like the stuff that doesn't matter might matter more than you think. So make sure you chart that, because I lost track. I'm like, what was I doing when this felt better? I'm like, God damn, I should have, because I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. So whether or not I don't think it's a dumb thing, Vincent. I just think you have enough experience taking run rep maxes that you'll be able to put it together in a garage in July with two of your best friends. Like, I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is you get on the path thinking you need to do something different.
No, I have my list right over there. I'm down into the basement. I have my 12 stretches that I do every day. And it takes me probably about a half an hour to go through them, because I don't rush them, because I know how valuable they are to me, and I do them every day. And I was doing them a couple times a day to kind of just unscrew my body. And yeah, I can't not do them. And I have to just keep things simple. I'm not looking for anything else. Not asking anybody else anymore. I have everything laid out. Just again, like when I was powerlifting, Matt knows how meticulous I was with what I ate, how I recovered, how I slept, how I trained. And that's what got me where I was going. And I just got I get enamored with a new shiny toy, and I'm not doing that anymore.
Yep. All right.
I think the other thing that I would add to what Jim said is what are the potential negative repercussions of doing what you want to do? And I don't know if there are any.
That's a good point.
What could happen if the singles are what you want to go with?
I think is Vincent.
Well, you guys, here's the point. Here's the point, though. If I'm doing it in front of the two of you, I know you'll both shut me down, because I remember squatting last year. I hit a really good squat. I think it was more than I wanted to do, and I was like, I think I got another. You're like, why? And I was like, you're right. Why? And we just walked away.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I agree with Jim. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think you continue doing what you're doing, not to drive your deadlift up to test it, but you just keep training, and then you get to see what that training yields.
The other thing, Vincent, is just as an example, you'll lift better on the test day if you're healthy. Big
Yeah.
Right? And so, examples. How many times have you gone to a powerlifting meet and all the guys tell you how beat up they are? Well, that doesn't seem very smart. Now, that doesn't mean at some point the training is going to take its toll, but you should be training in such a way by the time you reach the meet, you feel good. You should be feeling good, not bad. And that's kind of what we started to do at the football team. Is the old by Friday everyone should be feeling like they're about to have the best physical day of their life. Not my hamstring's a little tweaked. I'm so tired from practice. Then you fucked up something during practice. Or
right.
Maybe you didn't eat enough or whatever. So I think that needs to be understood. I'd rather feel really good and be slightly undertrained than feel horrible and be overtrained, or if that's probably didn't come out right. But I'd rather feel really good and healthy and let the consistency of good, smart work carry me rather than do, like everyone does, like 18 meets before their meet. Like, I hit my openers.
Yeah.
Come on, that's what the openers are for at the meet.
Yeah. I always try to explain to my kid, this is a little off topic, but you'll understand where I'm going with it. All the kids always want to train hard and heavy and go for what they can do that day. And it's like, well, do you guys want to do that with running the hill? Like, you got 20 in you. Let's see if we got 21. No. Well, why do you want to do it in the weight room? It's Vincent, you've got your plan, follow the plan. You follow it, you're going to be able to get what you want without having to beat the hell out of yourself. Back to the point that Jim said, guys go to powerlifting meets and they feel terrible. Well, what's the point? You can be better about what you're doing, get the awesome results you're looking for, and feel great. And I'd rather walk into a game, the NOV meet, whenever we end up doing it, I want to feel really good Because sometimes you'll do more than you think you can just because you feel so damn good.
In our life, I think feeling good and healthy will make us stronger than any amount of training will do because we have such a background. I think that's very well said.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Perfect, gentlemen. No, I'll tell you one thing. I'll never take feeling good for granted again. I mean, Jim, I think, a little while ago, you got in a good space. The last time I think we were there, you were able to hit it pretty hard. And now it seems like you've had some back issues. And, I think that's one piece of advice to everybody out there. Don't take feeling good for granted because it's a zero-sum game for a lot of people when you're lifting heavy. And, trying to get out on the other end, just figuring out your out strategy can be a tough one if you want to stick with it. Because at our age, a lot of guys aren't with it. A lot of guys just, at some point whether it's life circumstances or just they don't want to do it anymore. This is one of the most important things in my life. And that sounds stupid to some people, but not being able to train is one of the hardest things on me, versus other than my family, whatever's going on with my family. Not being able to train is one of the worst feelings that I can contend with.
And you know what the best part about going on vacation is? It's like being away from your wife or something for a while. Like you start to realize, oh my God, she does everything. Yeah. And when I was I just missed training so much. And you get so many good ideas when you're on vacation because you got time to think, and obviously you got a lot of time. You're just sitting around drinking or whatever people do. But it made me love training even more. And then I get all the ideas for the kids and I'm all excited. Like I just talking here, I had a major fucking breakthrough with what our kids are going to do. And I'm excited.
What's that?
I'm not telling anyone.
Is that like the old Louis? Is that like the West Side? Everybody who thinks they're doing West Side aren't really doing West Side.
But I have some ideas. Now the ideas just came, so I got to sit down. And what I do is I'll just sit up at night watching the most mindless TV show. I have a pad and paper or something. I'll make notes, and so I got to run it by Cutler, our head coach. So, but I think I have a fucking. I'll share with you, Matt. Are you coming? Did you?
Yeah.
At this point, dude, text Juliet right now and see. I don't know. I think she's outside right now with James.
I'll send it right now. We'll figure this out.
Why don't you? Can you come up tonight?
Are you? By the time I get my stuff organized, I wouldn't be there. I can come tomorrow.
Yeah, come. What is tomorrow? Dude, do you have any idea what day it is anymore?
It's.
I went to a doctor's appointment today, thinking it was Friday.
Today's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Because yesterday I went in. I've been going in 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to do office work. Because then we train. Yeah. After we do our work, and I didn't go in today, so it's Thursday.
Because I train every single day. What I'm doing right now doesn't require much rest, so I have no idea what's going on. Like. It was Sunday the other day. We couldn't figure out why certain things weren't open. We're like, the coronavirus is really hitting just hard. Anyway, man. Hey, Josh, can you hear me? All right, why don't you ask another question, man?
Yeah, Billy Mimnall asked that question, I think. Yeah, I miss competing, just having a very concrete goal to shoot for, whether it was getting ready to play football or to do a powerlifting meet or whatever. I miss that a little bit. I don't think I have the same fire. I mean, I definitely don't have the same fire to do what's necessary to compete at a fairly high level, but I definitely still have a little competitive edge to me that doesn't always get satisfied doing what I'm doing now. So I miss it. I definitely miss it.
How about you, Vincent?
I was the last to leave competing. I had the biggest struggle letting go of it. But now, even when I see it, I don't miss doing it. I enjoy, talking to my buddies doing it, but the NOV fuels my fire. Just coming out to train with you, got to be able to do competitive fuel for me, and which is really good because, to be able to do it where you're not staying in a gross hotel, you're paying somebody to lift weight. You're paying somebody to lift weights around a bunch of sweaty dudes, and I get to hang out with you two, which is great to see, catch up with friends. And but I do miss being big. I will say that. I will forever. I'm but I'm dysmorphic. If I'm big, I was never unhappy when I was big. I was never unhappy about. I thought I looked great. I was strong. I could care less. And now I'm so twisted and not well. Although I'm getting to a much better place. But yeah, the NOV, honestly. I gained some weight back. I went through a rough patch in the fall with I had some serious family issues, and then I had some just started getting stenosis. I got 3 herniated discs. My body just started to fall apart. I was down to like 2. I didn't train for 3 months, and I was down to about 205, 206. And when things started working out with my family, I just started getting myself together. I put some weight back on. I got up to about 222. So I'm back down to about 219. I'd like to see 200 eventually, just because I know I feel better. And Jim, if you think the 10 pounds will make a difference, it does.
Oh, I know.
Because I know I felt better. I know I felt better under 210 than I do now. And with all the work I've been doing, I can't imagine how good I would feel back under 210. So that's really my goal right now, is just get back under 210. But I'm in no rush. To know me is to know my goal is to lose a pound or 2 a month tops.
Yeah, I get you. I just my big problem is if I don't really commit to it, then I just don't care about it. Like Louis C.K. said, the doctor asked him about his eating habits. He's like, eating habits? Like, just, it's whatever. Or, like I didn't, so I never really weighed myself. I just kind of ate food and, does that make sense? Like it never really made any difference.
Wasn't it? Right. It's not something you tracked.
No, I didn't care. Like I probably didn't weigh myself for 6 months. I didn't, I just, like, what am I going to, like, nothing would change. It wouldn't change me at all. Like I'd still eat what I eat. And, but I think when it just kind of, I got older and I need to watch what I eat a little bit more. Man, everything is stuck on here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
I think the video. Yeah. I go out to eat with you clowns, and you're the people that I sit in a restaurant and hate. I look at people who have like half-eaten plates and food still left on their plates, and I just want to pick at it as I walk by. I'm like, who doesn't eat all of their food? And therein lies the difference between like the two of you versus me. I'm a glutton. I'm a complete utter pig. Like, really, you're not going to eat that half a slice of toast? Yeah.
Like I can sit and eat one big meal and then not eat the rest of the day, which is not a healthy thing to do, but I can do that. You, Vincent, can eat a huge breakfast, turn around 90 minutes later, have the same breakfast, and you've already figured out what you're going to have for lunch. You've planned dinner more or less, and you're trying to think about what dessert you're going to have after dinner. That's just how your brain works. It's
the Italian upbringing.
I remember you calling me when you were gaining weight. Doesn't matter what meat. You would call me on a Tuesday and you're like, dude, I'm going to have Chinese food and then I'm going to get a pizza. And then he'd call me the next day and be like, no, I'm not getting Chinese food tonight. I'm getting McDonald's and I'm going to get a shake. And then he'd call me Thursday and be like, dude, this is what I'm going to have on Friday before we train. And then on Friday, on the 40-minute ride to the diner, he'd be like, no, this is what I'm doing. And it was so funny because he genuinely enjoyed eating and thinking about it. And I was like, I'm getting French toast and bacon because that's what I get every Friday before I train.
We got to go.
People are different.
when we
in some of that stuff.
get here, hopefully for the meet, hopefully Cracker Barrel's open.
Yes. At least for takeout. That's what we have. We can get
The
takeout.
problem is Cracker Barrel's too far away for takeout. We'd have to take it out and eat it right in the truck.
Yeah, right.
Listen,
Yeah. That's
as long as Popeyes is open, that's all I care about.
in fact, I saw one of the ladies that I always see at Popeyes. I saw her at Walmart, and we had a long conversation. She gives James like all these gifts and stuff whenever he comes in, so she knows us. And it's not something I'm very proud of when they walk in. It's like, hey, Norm!
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still open. It's obviously so takeout only, but we never ate there anyway, so not a big deal.
Yep.
I still haven't tried the sandwich.
Oh, it's good.
Very good.
Like when I first got the
Yeah,
sandwich, I got my usual meal too, just in case.
Yeah.
And how stupid of me to think that Popeyes would make something bad.
Exactly.
I shamed myself for months. I flagellated myself for not believing in Popeyes.
Well, Rhodes, I had a conversation to ask about the sandwich, and I was like, because I'm that type of guy who would regret. I'm like, oh man, I would have gotten the meal and the sandwich. Because I'm like, if I don't like the sandwich, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
And Rose was like, no, it's like 50-50 when you're there, whether you want to get whether you're going to go with the 5-piece or the sandwich or the 10-piece or the sandwich. And I'm like, all right, but I still haven't given it a shot.
Jim has a great philosophy.
I don't want anybody touching my food now.
Jim has a great philosophy when we go out and get takeout, whatever. So let's say we go to McDonald's or Popeyes or whatever, you're going to get the chicken sandwich to eat on the ride home. And then you have your meal when you get home. It's like an appetizer. It's what you eat before you eat to make you more hungry.
Yeah.
It's the embers that stoke the fire.
Yes. So, the Popeyes chicken sandwich is good. It's solid.
It's legit, man.
Yep.
All right.
All right, Josh, hit us with something else, buddy. I'm going to take this question. Do I miss competing? And I'm going to probably sound like maybe I'm a dick or something, but nothing compares to playing football. Nothing. Not powerlifting, nothing. I think it is a completely different animal. You are a mass of 11 people working to beat the shit out of someone else. Every play is like a little mini battle that I loved. All I have to do is win this battle. That's all I cared about. I didn't care. I never cared about the score. And I know that's like the wrong thing, like to say in this day and age. I'd rather just play fucking football. And then whatever the score is, the score is. And I was okay with winning or losing because I only wanted to win the battles, the small little, and whatever the war turns out, I'm okay with. When I moved on to powerlifting, of course I wanted to compete, but it's not even close to the same. You're not fighting anyone. Like, to me, that's not competing. Competing is like some kind of physical battle between you and another person. While it's still like I had drive, it's just not the same. And that's what I try to get across to our kids when I talk to them. Like, take advantage of this time because this will shape you more. Not winning and losing. It's being able to learn how to fucking fight and learning to battle and learning how to be exhausted and still throw someone on their back and fucking choke them out. I miss the competing in football, but I'm physically so fucked that I know I can't play football anymore. I don't miss competing in powerlifting. I think Vincent had a great point where you're paying someone else to lift weights. The last meet that I did, I remember after the squats, I looked at my buddy Will, and I'm like, dude, we could have done this in my fucking basement. We could have been over in 45 minutes, or in my garage, and we could have just went out and fucking eat wings all day. And so I don't really miss that. With Vincent, you miss being big. I don't miss being that big, like 275. I think I hated it. But if I was 205, I think I'd be fucking miserable. So there's like I have a good balance.
Yeah, there's that in between. Like I said to my assistants back when we were working, I was like, I'd love to be 300 pounds to be that big again, but I don't want to feel the way I felt.
Yeah. So I don't miss.
Plus my heart, it's, the doctors are like, hey, 275, you think you can lose a little? I'm like, I eat twice a day, dude. Like, how am I going to lose any more weight?
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I just, and I don't know if, Matt, you feel the same way. It's just like there's something about doing a physical mano-a-mano sport. Like, I mean, I know football is 11 on 11, but essentially every play is you against another guy.
Yeah, I do. I totally relate to what you're saying. 100% relate to what you're saying. What I liked about training, like let's go to powerlifting, what I miss are, I'm going to cry. Not really. Sitting in the truck with Vincent on the ride to the diner.
Yeah.
And then talking trash when we walked in the weight room, and the people, the interactions more so than the training. But you're right. Nothing is quite, I still get butterflies on Saturdays. Like when we get on the bus to go from the hotel to the field on road trips, I still get excited. Not like you used to, but there's still that you get to go out, like you said, do battle with another human being that's got a job to do. His job is to beat you. Your job is to beat him. And every single little battle is, well, you won that one. I better kick your ass this time. And if I kick your ass more, I did a better job. And if all my teammates
kicked
your ass too, the outcome takes care of itself.
Yeah, I tell that to kids all the time.
Yep. And I definitely miss that.
Even when we train, I said, just don't worry about what we're going to condition. Don't worry about the circuit. Worry about this rep that you're doing right now. Let's have awesome fucking reps.
Yeah.
Don't worry about you got to do 10. Worry about the first one and then the second one. Let's just, so you know what that's called? Living in the moment.
Yeah. And it's what you're doing is you're teaching them the habit of, Nick Saban says it, be where your feet are. Yeah. Your feet right now are at 135 as your warm-up set. So do that awesome. And then it's going to be whatever, 185 or whatever. It's just be in the moment, do what you're supposed to do it really well, and the outcome takes care of itself. Your numbers are going to go up. If you
win the battles, you're going to win the war.
Yeah.
And if you don't win, you weren't supposed to win anyway, and that's okay.
Yep.
I know winning's everything, coming from a society that everyone's a winner.
Yeah. But if you do those little things, if you go to class, if you take the notes, if you get into study groups, the test takes care of itself and your grade says that you're a winner. But it's the habits that you learn along the way that are invaluable in every single aspect of your life.
Yep.
So
with sports, it's I didn't take sports to the college level like you guys did by played on a successful football in high school and wrestled. And I will say, you want to impress your will upon somebody. You want someone to have grit, have your kid wrestle, because as difficult as I found football, because people like now it's funny because even when I watch fighters miss weight and we were stupid kids in high school, junior high, whatever, you figured out how to make weight. And that's when it was brutal, probably a lot more dangerous than it is now. So like I'd cut weight for a meet and I'd think nothing of it. And when I see people miss weight, I'm like, these people are just weak. And I know it's probably not the case all the time, but I know at some point it's just want to give up as you're just pushing yourself beyond a limit. But the one difference between, those are, team sports or wrestling or football. With powerlifting, and Matt said it, you get to choose who you powerlift with. And when Matt and I first started training together, I was mostly training by myself. I trained in a powerlifting gym, but I didn't train with people because there just weren't people that I really enjoyed training with. So I trained in the gym, but I trained by myself. And Matt, my standards must have been that low to start.
You're that desperate.
Well, dude, I served the purpose. I served the purpose. I was there to hold boards. That's why I got to train with you. And I kept my mouth shut. And over time, you're like, I guess he's useful. At least he can hold boards and give me a lift off. There was some worth I brought that you allowed me to stick around.
Yeah, and it's one of the, and I do tell people that with any type of training, just go add some value, do something, spot, load, keep your mouth shut, and you'll become an integral part of the crew. You'll serve a purpose, and and you definitely serve more of a purpose than that. But it took you a little while, man.
But dude, but that's how I got my foot in the door. Yeah, that's how I got my. Foot
what other what other body foot, other body part, what have you?
I just want to punch you in that big fucking head of yours.
West Side.
Speed, strength, or strength, speed.
Speed.
I forgot which.
Oh, man. All right. We got more questions?
I wish that video would have saved.
Oh, my God. That
is one of the most depressing moments in my life when I found out that was gone.
You know what's funny is I sent that to my buddy Will, who used to train at Westside, and he was in his car, and he said I had to pull over because I was pissing my pants. He goes, then I realized you were talking about me. I was like, dude, we all were.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Like all that was making fun of me, making fun of everyone.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Nobody will know that. Nobody will ever know. First of all, no one will ever know the brilliance. We lost a national treasure. That's it. Enough said.
You think the coronavirus is a problem?
Yeah.
All right, Josh, what do you got for us? Oh.
Yeah, and I take that as a compliment in this day and age.
I'll go here because I work in a school, and I think people who weren't tolerated, if that's the right word, are tolerated better. And I think people should be able whoever they want. I just would like, if I'm not saying something correctly or doing something correctly, don't jump down my throat. Everybody takes a little time to kind of figure things out, be educated on it. Just because not everybody can know the right pronoun to use, or the right bathroom to use, or the right words to say. It just doesn't mean it's an aggression. Hey, whatever floats your boat and makes you happy. I like to, lift weights and probably do some other stuff I'm not going to share. And but I don't want anybody worried about what I'm doing. So I'm really not worried what they're doing. Just don't beat me up over it.
Yeah, you said it way better than I was going to say it. I guess with some of the words back, kind of what you said, we grew up and certain words weren't meant towards a certain group. It was a way of insulting each other. South Park did a phenomenal episode on this, I thought. But it wasn't, I'm making fun of you. I'm not making fun of a group. I don't hate a certain group because I say this or that. It's how I grew up. Right or wrong, you're not going to undo my upbringing because you got offended today. Does that make sense? And so maybe I should change some of the words I use. I agree, I probably should. But don't tell me that I have to do that because you're offended. I'm offended that you're offended. So now we're both offended. Let's have a great day.
The only thing that I will say about this is it comes down to two things: being authoritarian and being a narcissist. One, people telling someone what they can and cannot say, and two, believing that you know what's right.
Yeah.
And 100% of all that is based on those two things. And there's two things I fucking hate more than anything.
Yep.
This blatant narcissism that they think that they even have a remote idea what's right and what's wrong. and the the love of authoritarianism of them telling everyone what they should be doing because they're the fucking expert. And I judge basically everything. The lens I can see it through. It's just, and the thing is, it doesn't really affect me. I'm in a small town. My wife and I and our kids we're very close. We keep everything tight knit as a family. So it doesn't really bother me because it doesn't really affect me. But it just surprises me that people don't understand that those two things are prevalent. And there's nothing worse than someone controlling language, because you control the language, you control the narrative, you control history, and people rewrite the history. So bring it on, because unfortunately their belief system is based in like a Jello mold, where the rest of us have fucking concrete. So anyway. A lot of this stuff, honestly, is like my wife and I talk. Rhodes and I will talk about this when we get here, and I'm 100% okay with my belief system and our morals. I just don't know if other people are, because they're the ones screaming all the time because they don't believe in what they believe. So there you go. Only one of us trained at Westside. Let's do another one. I don't have any epic stories. Although one time, wait, hold on, I'll tell this one. So it was Friday and we were squatting, and that day, for whatever reason, I decided to call Dave Bocephus. I have no idea why. I've never in my life called him Bocephus. So every time he stepped up to the bar, I was like, "Here we go, Bocephus! Bocephus double, here we go! Doing speed work, Bocephus!" So the entire workout goes by, and then we get to the EFS. He's like, "Dude, what the fuck? Why are you calling me Bocephus?" To me, it was like an Andy Kaufman moment.
Yeah,
like something that Andy Kaufman would do. It made no sense, it served zero purpose, and it was only funny to me. Yeah. And I'm sure, like JL,
that's enough reason to say it.
I'm sure JL was there, and I'm sure like JL was laughing because he's like, "Yeah, I get it. That doesn't mean anything." But anyway, that's my most epic story, There's a guy named Chase Carnes who did an entire article, I think, for Elite FTS on this. And he's the guy who actually trained strongman, and the way he set everything up in at least the feedback that I've gotten has been an awesome way of doing it. And I trust Chase is incredibly smart.
Yes.
And Chase is very experienced, very methodical. And I've seen, Chase is used to ask questions on Elite FTS. I mean, shit, I've been gone for fucking 10 years now. And so he's been doing I remember answering questions when I was there. So he's been doing it a long time. I just think that he would have a better understanding. Everything I would do would be guesswork. So I don't know. And I'm okay with not knowing. That's one of the greatest things as you get older. Like when people come to me with an injury, I'm like, I don't know. Like, go ask the trainer. I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, I just do this. I try to stay in my lane regarding that. Because I don't want, and the good thing is our trainer then defers to me when it comes to strength training, because I respect her role. Erica, by the way, who's super awesome and nice. Like she's going to watch this. But does that make sense? Like you get it all the time too, Matt. It's like, hey, I got this. I'm like, go see the trainer, man. I don't know. I don't want her doing my job, and I'm sure she doesn't want to do, my job, stuff like that. So,
for the most part, a lot of the coaches and administrators are like that where I am. Every now and then you get some folks that, are experts in their profession and mine. But yeah, it's just stay in your lane. We're all here. And like you said, what about this? I don't know. You know, like a lot of kids will ask me about back problems. I'm like, yeah, I know how I fixed mine, but it's not my job to tell you how to rehab. We have people that need to do that. They're the ones you have to go see because they're the experts. I fixed my back. Like, well, this didn't work. I'll try this. This didn't work. I'll try that. But we have access to those people, and that's who I'm going to send them to because that's what they do. That's how they pay their bills. They know what they're doing. I'm going to send you to them because they're better than I am at that. So.
Thought about this. When Dave and I would do seminars, we did a shit ton of seminars together. So we spent a shit ton of time, you know, in airports and hotels and stuff. And I'm not telling anything. Said, you know, Dave, I think he said he was in college for like 7 years. So I started referring to him as Dr. Tate. Like, Dr. would be. And I feel bad saying it now, but I'm like, I have to do it, man. I have to call him Doctor. Who else would spend so long in college? I'm just busting balls, Dave. Sorry.
Dr. Bocephus.
Yeah, Dr. Bocephus. Hey now, Doc. Hey,
that's what we're going to call Dave. Next time we see Dave, we all have to just call him Dr. Bocephus.
Doc B. We've already.
Right, Bottles?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see you, Vincent.
Shut up, Vincent. It's not funny.
Hey, guys. I can't see the computer. The hell's going on? Josh!
The feed is wrong.
Vincent, I hope you're on the second floor and you trip and fall down the stairs. I hope you have blood on your stairs so you don't get hurt, though.
You know,
the sad thing is we have so many funny stories. I don't know how many we've told, how many we haven't, but I will laugh forever about so many story Rhodes.
The fish stick story?
No. Someone asked about fish sticks on the Vegas story.
Oh, yeah.
You getting paid.
Your sound cut out. I didn't hear you. Yeah, the Vegas story.
The sound's a little choppy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I peed on it. How about? I'm gonna pull the mic out. Let me. You guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, dude, that Vegas story, that whole weekend was fun, and not for the reason most people think, because we didn't go to any bars or anything like that. But
no,
dude, I'm pretty sure my back problems that I have now are because you pulled my pants down in the hotel. Guaranteed. That's one of the bends that I'll never get back.
Can we please change that story because it sounds weird the way you just said it? In the lobby of the hotel.
Yeah. There was a casino behind me.
So was Vincent.
Yes, he was.
Oh man, Josh, you got anything else?
I got one. I got to tell this story. I just reminded. It was with one of my good friends. We went to Pittsburgh for a meet. I think it was Pittsburgh. And everyone went. I wasn't competing, but we went out the night prior to the meet, and we were fucking hammered. So there's like 5 of us in a truck, and the driver was a good friend of mine, and he lived in Kentucky at the time. So we were in Pennsylvania, and he just tears off down the street, going the wrong way on a one-way street. Just like 90 miles an hour. We're like, dude, Grant, you're going the wrong way. He's like, don't worry. They can't pull you over if you got out-of-state tax. And we're like, oh, yeah. And we just, like 3 months, holy shit, what? But it was, dude, he said it so convincing, just blazing down the one-way street going like 90. Don't worry, boys. I got out-of-state tags. And everyone's like, yeah, that's right.
There is no more group of people that can convince themselves of stupid things than a group of male powerlifters. I don't know how it is now, but yeah, there was nothing you couldn't say or do as a group that didn't sound like a good idea. Yeah. Hence the stupid extend story.
Yeah. Hey, all right, Josh, hit us up. What time is it? 6:12. I got an ass load here. So let me see as I put on my. Oh, okay. Well, that's not good. All right, hold on. Hold on. So let's see here.
Top to bottom, left to right, group words together to form sentences.
Juliet, read these.
Oh, I got it. This is the all for us here. Hey, Jim, you mentioned that you did hill sprints back when you played football. Apart from that and field work, do you have any other conditioning methods, swimming, biking, etc., that we use? And what are your thoughts on using varied conditioning methods compared to more sport-specific methods? So here's so we'll use it as general fitness. The thing with conditioning is very much like diet. And I think Vincent will agree. Whatever conditioning method that you do is generally the one that is the best for you. However, if it's taken away from your goals, then it's bad news. But I don't think it matters so much what you do, because conditioning, unless you have a specific response you're looking for, is more about the heart rate and just general physical well-being. So it's whatever you want to do, or whatever strokes your little wiener, I think is good to go. I don't think unless you're doing something very specific like powerlifting, where you don't want to be doing something stupid, or if you're a football player, you don't need to be running miles on concrete and stuff like that. So it's, I guess, go ahead, Vincent, because you've done a shit ton of conditioning too.
Yeah, I just want to share. I think, our conversations have led me to really be a little more introspective about my conditioning. And as I look back and see what worked and what didn't work, I would say the most bang for my buck, and the one that's least likely to injure me, is the assault bike, the Airdyne. That I find I could do hard and not. There's a much better reward than risk reward ratio to the assault bike or the Airdyne than there is pretty much to anything else. Because if I ever went to try to go do a full sprint, outside without warming up for about 2 hours, I'd tear everything off me. The Prowler a lot of times has a lot of, will have a lot of residual effect, because with back issues, just making sure I'm in the right position, sled dragging, I find it boring, but I'll do it and it doesn't beat me up, but I also can't get too intense with it. So for me, if I need to get intense with anything, that really doesn't have a repercussion. It's been the assault bike. And we texted back and forth, I'm going to pepper in, very methodically some sprints back in, get some of my hard conditioning back, because that's one thing I haven't been doing. And I feel great as a result. So if I pepper them in and it has a negative effect, and then I'm just taking them out and just sticking with walking.
It's funny because when I use the weight vest and go for a walk, or Vincent or Matt and I will go for a walk, then we'll run the stadium stairs and come back. We've used the weight vest for that too, but the emotional comfort you get from just walking outside and enjoying things, especially when you live out in the middle.
Yes,
dude, you can't put a price on that, man. And I think being outside, there's an old joke I heard a psychologists say that no one ever kills themselves outside. Now, of course, that's not always true. But the point is, if you get outside, your mood gets better. You can put on some headphones and you don't have to listen to, black metal or Nails or something. You just kind of relax and listen to a podcast or some comedy. I always listen to funny shit. And I have no problems laughing by myself. So I'll just be walking down the street dying, like, and someone, that guy must be hurt or something. So I think from an emotional standpoint, I think it does a lot more than just physical. And especially if you got
one thing I wanted to,
and you can leave the house.
Yeah.
yeah. One thing I wanted to add is I have found that I used to do everything plugged in, and now I do a lot of my walks without listening to anything, and it's almost a little meditative, if that's a word. But
well, you know what?
I don't. I think people are just used to being bombarded. That go for a walk. I mean, if you try it without your headphones. For some people,
the problem is you're alone with yourself. That's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to be said about that. Louis C.K. did a whole bit where he was in his car and he just didn't put on the radio, wasn't checking his text and something, and just let himself be. Because I just started crying. I have no idea why. But I have some ideas for you, Vincent, that I'll run by you later about the Airdyne, and we'll go through it a little bit. So I'm not saying just follow this, but whatever. We'll talk about that shit later. So, all right. How about another question here? So this would be interesting here. How do you adjust programming for those who are 50, 60 years old and above? You still feel low reps are still useful? Please exchange. Basically, are there any changes for programs for lifters who are older? Volume, frequency, variation. So, Matt, do you have any? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, Matt, like you have the body of like a 90-year-old.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you got a year on me, dude.
I know. How old are you?
I think,
Matt, how old are you?
The lower reps, if I assume we're talking about like squats and benches and stuff like that. If you can do those traditionally or with a safety bar, trap bar, whatever, I think they're tremendous. I think the lower reps are good. Because
hold on, can I add this?
What's that?
I think lower reps are good with a weight that you can do double to triple.
Yes,
For
that's
example,
what I was getting to. Yep.
Do 5 reps or whatever with a weight you can do 10 or 15 times, and maybe repeat that just a couple times. There's a big difference between that. That's when people say low reps, it always drives me nuts. Well, what is that? It's like we can do 8 triples at like the old West Side. So when people do triples, they automatically think it's as heavy as I can go. It doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
So, okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, but I think, again, as long as you can do if you can do some of the traditional lifts with a safe, a specialty bar or whatever.
Number one is
great.
Do the lifts that you can in whatever way you can.
Yes. And then when you get down to the push-ups or the sit-ups or the body weight squats, again, I don't think you go nuts with it. Do sets of 5 to 10 and do, like you do. I love the way you write stuff a lot. When you read your books, it's like 50 reps of back. Well, I could do 10 sets of 5. I could do 3 sets of 15. It doesn't matter. Just today, maybe I can only do 3 push-ups a set because whatever. I just do more sets. Like, I don't think you have to go nuts with it. It's the fact that you're moving. And I think this is a great example or a great time to use your philosophy of 3 movements.
Yeah.
Is do 3 movements really well. You could do wonders for people. I can do wonders for young kids as well as people in their 50s or 60s or 70s, whatever. Just you're doing something that's going to benefit you. Make sure you're doing it safer or safely.
The other thing. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
He talks frequency. I think the frequency is going to depend a lot obviously on how heavy you train. But the other thing is you need to do something every day. It doesn't have to be in the weight room. But you need to be able to do something like I'm talking like an Italian right now.
Yeah.
Right? What was that movie? What do I do with my hands?
Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Break it, baby. I think it's important when you get older to be able to do something on off days. For example, let's say, for example, you train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think on those off days, you need to be doing something, and not so much, walking's great, but you need to be just doing something where you're on the ground and getting off the ground or changing levels. I think that's super important. And it's like my dad, who is insanely fit, he's 74. My parents just got back from their second trip to Europe. They biked across like Germany and another in the Netherlands, I don't know, somewhere else. It was insane. But, I look up to my parents quite a bit, and I see what they do. And one of the things is they're always doing something, even if it's not something insane. Yep. And as I get older, my main things are health with the conditioning, so I don't have to go balls out. I mean, we still do stupid shit. Matt and I did a crawler push that was retarded one day. Yeah. For the most part, it's more health. Number two is just general, like what Vincent is going through, mobility work, and it doesn't have to be like supersonic mobility work. I do yoga every morning, and I look horrible when I do it, but I'm getting on the ground, getting off the ground, doing stuff, and I think, again, that's going to make you feel better. And number three is I try to put on muscle mass. And when you get older, I think for a lot of people, while the squat, bench, deadlift, press, all that stuff is great, I think they need to find a way of low-stress movements to add muscle mass. And that's very similar to what Westside does, is they'll do, the main lift, and then it's just basically pumping up the muscles as much as you can. And those are low-stress movements because muscle mass deteriorates at one level. So my main goal right now is not worrying about the strength, but worrying about the muscle mass, and the strength will take care of itself at this point. Where years ago, it was kind of the other way around. So, and ironically, that's what I do with the young kids. All the main lifts are performed with precision. And then on the assistant stuff, we just bomb the hypertrophy stuff and the low rest stuff. So that everything, the main lifts are done for power and precision. Everything else is just done for a pump. And that ends up, the kids feel more fresh throughout the year. Yep. So basically, it's called the full circle. When you get younger, you're training that way. When I say younger, I'm talking very young. And then when you get older, you can train, very similar like. So basically.
So I got years on you guys.
Muscle mass. Yes.
So being that I have years on you guys, I'm going to be 51, and I've gone through just kind of figuring out how to train while being older. Because for a long time, up into my mid 40s, I was still at my strongest, and having to recreate myself has been different. And I think my greatest advice now to, people who are definitely getting up there, want to stick with it, is being creative, flexible, then consistent. So you have to be creative. I realized I can't use a straight bar to squat anymore, and quite frankly, I may never put a bar on my back again, eat a safety squat bar, because I went through 4 or 5 months where my feet were numb because I have spinal stenosis and 3 herniated discs, and putting a bar on my back may never be worth the reward again, as much as I, but I have a belt squat. So I don't need to squat. I don't need to squat in a traditional sense, because the belt squat does everything, serves every purpose that I need it to right now.
Yes.
With my deadlift, with the trap bar, which, I've been using the trap bar forever. Even, I did not, when I stopped squatting and deadlifting for injury purposes 30 years ago when I was competing, I still always had value in the squat bar, the safety squat bar, and the trap bar. The trap bar for me, I was finding at the bottom, it was really bothering me. And I'm like, maybe I'm just traveling too far, so let me put it on some blocks. And I noticed even then it was still bothering me. So I had some little foam pieces around it, and I was just practicing with a little foam under the bar. And I was like, all right, so it's the impact of the bar at the bottom, even as carefully as I could set it down.
Still jarring.
The impact was bothering me. Yeah, the jarring. So I bought high density boat foam. I deadlift with that. Now I have no problem with the deadlift. I've been using the shoulder saver, I've been using the football bar, and I had a terrible tendonitis, and working through that with my physical therapy, I MacGyvered. I texted you guys, I MacGyvered the shoulder saver to fit on my Swiss bar.
It was like he sent me,
and I'm like, I have given up. But so I was creative to figure out what lifts I could do. I was flexible enough that I could let those other lifts go, because my goal is to be training and to be strong and to enjoy what I'm doing. And now that I have finally figured it out, I can't be like, all right, well, you know what? A year from now, maybe I should go back to the straight bar bench, or maybe I'll, go back. If I'm serving my purpose, I just need to be consistent now. So be creative with the lifts, find the lifts that you could do, be flexible, let go of some of those old things that you used to do when you were younger. And when you figure out what works, you got to be consistent.
Yeah, right. That's good.
And I think you made a good point, maybe between the lines, but what I took is, like, for me, I'm probably never going to be able to do dips again. You're never going to be able to squat again with a straight bar, right? Be okay not doing some things that you used to be able to do so that you can keep going. Like, all three of us, our list of exercises that we can do together is really short. And the list of stuff we can't do anymore is expansive. And it's okay. Like, I just can't do that. I can do this instead. And like you said, these are my goals. I want to do this. I can't. I can do this instead. Be comfortable with that, because that will prolong your ability to do this. Hopefully for us, another decade or so, because we're not making it that much longer.
My poor wife is trying so hard to keep me alive.
When I take away from that,
it's over.
Yeah.
What I'm taking away from that is also, I think for the past couple of years, when I've modified or done exercise, it's like my goal was always to get back to the traditional squat, to the traditional bench, and the traditional deadlift. That time has passed. And I think as you get older, you have to listen. We all know the guy who's 70, or we see Instagram and a guy 90 years old deadlifting 400 pounds. That's fantastic. But he probably would have deadlifted 700, 800 pounds in his 30s and 40s.
Right.
Because all that stuff took a toll that I think anybody who's put that time in has to realize, that for most people, that nirvana is gone. And I think that's where I finally am. What I'm doing now isn't to lead me back to that. It's to be comfortable with what I'm able to do and make progress there.
Right. It's moving forward with what you got or what you can do.
Yeah.
The other thing, kind of a little bit off topic, is when I found that I couldn't do X, Y, and Z, then I started doing, A, B, and C. But the problem wasn't so much not the movements, it was the effect it had on my body. So it was a little bit different. Like, I could still do the movements, but like my body was so beat up. The problem that I had was, if I just go in and do something, I need to have something that I can fucking grab. Like, when I grab whatever I'm doing, I want to fucking tear its head off. And that's where I was kind of missing. And so I think when I texted you guys, what my general idea for stuff, I can attack the shit out of the weight room now. And still get that feeling without having to resort to what we used to do. And I think for a lot of guys, maybe that needs to be said. Like, you got to find something you can do kind of, at least for me, that was kind of balls out and really pushing the envelope mentally and physically. So whatever that might be, I can really, I guess it serves a bigger purpose than I think than we realize. Is like, when you went in on whatever, would you guys bench on Fridays back in the day?
Yeah.
Like, that was fucking focused, insane, awesome, right? Even if you weren't going, bleeding out of your nose, it was still really focused and you were pushing the limits. And I think that's what I kind of missed, is, pushing the limits. And so, but I have faith that, what I'm doing now, I can get down that road. So, and plus, I
think.
Go ahead.
I think one of the things we take for granted is having each other for a sounding board. And I forget a lot of people. That's why these questions are here. So for someone who's older, you really, you need to talk to people who've been there, and you need to read. And the nice thing is there are people. You reach out to us on, whatever. But you really have to dig deep to kind of figure out what's going to work for you, what's going to float your boat. But is it doable? And do you have who's keeping tabs on you, or who's keeping you honest? And that's why it's really good to have you two guys, because and we need to keep each other honest. And it's hard because we all want to go back to our roots. As much as I'll say it, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm supposed to do this time. I'm going to stick with it. We all get that wild hair up our ass. That's the problem.
Well, Juliet said it best the other day. She got on my case about something. She's like, "You're the best coach I know and the dumbest fucking lifter."
Yep. Well, I never tell Jim what to do because he wrote a book. So he sold like 8 or 9 copies of it too. So he's pretty good.
I think not just when you have a sounding board, I think that's obviously critical. But if in a moment of sobriety and clarity, you write down things, you got to put those up so you can look at it. It's kind of like your 10 commandments or whatever, and say, okay, I veered off course. Let's get our shit back together here. So even when you have that moment of clarity, you got to put it down. And I think it's super, like, I'll give you a good example is the days you're feeling good. Sometimes that's not always the time to feel to go crazy because you're feeling good. And it's like this internal quest to feel like shit that I think people have in training. Like, hey, I feel really good. Well, then do what you're doing. That's not upset. Or like I get this, like, hey, I've been doing this, and this. What do you think? I'm like, well, do you get any stronger? It's like, oh, fuck yeah. I'm like, then you're good, brother. Like keep it up. And so maybe, that needs to be said is the outcome does not need to be, killing yourself or, self-flagellation. You don't need to be a martyr every time you go in the weight room.
Right. Because it's what I try to tell our kids all the time. If you kill yourself today, well, we got to run tomorrow. We got to lift the next day, and then we got to run, and then we got to lift. If you beat the hell out of yourself today, it's going to negatively affect you tomorrow. And then that stress builds up. Be happy that you walked out today not feeling like death, because tomorrow we got more. And then we have more and more, and we got 9 weeks of more, or whatever it may be.
Occasionally, I'll get
for us. I feel great today. Well, I got to go for a 2-mile walk tomorrow, and then I got to squat on Friday, or whatever it is. It's seeing the big picture, seeing either the what is it called? What's a week called in training? A microcycle?
I have no idea.
Right, and then a 3-week cycle is a macro cycle. It's like seeing that whole big picture. It all adds up.
Well, you know what I did, Rhodes, was JJ?
Yeah.
Okay. JJ really wanted to go for max reps at X weight. And it was way more than what he usually does. I'm like, all right, dude, let her rip,
Yep.
Set a massive PR. Beaming, just – and this was on a Friday. Well, Monday comes around. He goes, man, I know why we don't do that stupid shit.
And you love things like that because they figure it out. It's like –
and so occasionally I'll let one of the older kids who has a wild hair up his ass do something. And it's happened, a dozen times. I'm like, all right, let her rip, brother. Let's see. And they get all excited because obviously they feel good and they're ripped. But to a T, every one of them totally get it, man. Oh, I feel like.
And the other thing, too, is when you go nuts with weight and you do weight more than you're used to or heavier than you're used to or whatever, the emotional component they don't take into account. Like,
well, that's right. That's especially important with advanced athletes.
Yes.
As an example, Thomas Linsky told me a story about they did a hammer thrower. I don't know if it was the Olympics or something very similar to that. and he set a world record. He only did, I think, 5 or 6 throws. It took him 2 weeks for his central nervous system to come back down. 2 weeks. It's like 6 throws.
Yep. The emotional toll is so much bigger than these kids realize. Everyone realizes.
The more advanced you are, the bigger it is.
Yes.
Because, we could go over the inter and intramuscular coordination and all that other baloney. But it just, like when Vincent benched 600, your pinkies helped you bench 600. Your toes helped you bench 600. Emotionally, reaching your goal was probably satisfying and almost depressing, and uplifting, and all the emotions all over the place. And right, I mean, like I remember when I squatted 1,000, it was like,
oh yeah,
I couldn't believe I did it. And I'm like, oh, well, that was it, huh? Like, it was a weird, of both great satisfaction and all the emotions, and like it's just overwhelming. And it takes a very advanced. I'm not saying I was super advanced or anything like that, but that needs to be taken into account quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it takes a toll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing a lot of guys don't understand. When they like testing their strength and it might not be a meet, but that will tax your central nervous system, especially the way we would do it. I know all three of us, training with Matt, especially, it's not something that's taken lightly. Going into a heavy lift, it's something that you kind of really work yourself up to, and then when it's done, it's a weird crescendo of feelings, and it might sound silly to some, but most people listening to this probably get it.
Yeah. Well, what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say. Just, I guess the best way to put all this is have a lot of good days. You don't have to have a lot of good days. You're going to have some poor days, but just try to have a lot of good days where you come out, you feel good, you got what was done. And, the other thing, I don't know why this popped in my head. It's about 2 weeks ago. I thought if I went back now and let's say I said I did whatever, like I'd say it was dynamic day, and I did 8 or 10 doubles or whatever we used to do at X weight. And let's say I moved up and hit a massive single, like just blew it. I would leave. I would leave the weight room because anything else I would do would just, even though I'm riding high, you have to be smart enough to say, you know what, that was such a massive lift. It took out more than I really know right now. So let's get on out of here. Obviously, you can't do that every time, but that's why you don't do it all the time.
Yep.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I tell my guys all the time. I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I got to get X number of reps in my squat, and I don't have to work out anymore. If I hit this, I've kind of earned that right. And so it's kind of what you're saying, I think, a little bit. It's like I got it. I feel good. I hit a goal I wanted to hit, and I'm going to ride high a little bit because any more might be detrimental.
Yeah.
For the next
that takes it takes experience to get there too.
Yeah.
So, trust me, I fucked that up a lot.
You got any more questions, Jim?
Yeah, let me what time is it now? It's 6.
Oh, we've been at this for a while.
So you want to do
we must be lonely.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see here. This is, in relation to what's going on now. Working with some bands, not rock and roll bands, but bands. A pull-up / dip stand and a few kettlebells. Thoughts on getting strong during this time of quarantine and social distancing. So we have bands, pull-up dip stand, and some kettlebells. So let's start with the bands. Let's get some ideas of what he can do with some bands. We'll get like 5 or 10 exercises.
So you got a pull-up bar, so you can do push down.
Well, let's just start with bands right now.
Oh, okay.
It's just so Vincent, give me a couple exercises with the bands.
Well, Of course, you got face pulls for your chest. You can do some kind of fly. You get around a column or 2 columns, or just a chest press, and an overhead press is going to cover a lot. And one thing I just want to throw out there too is you might not increase your strength, but you can maintain most of it. I wouldn't be hyper worried about increasing your strength, but just doing work again. But those 3 are good upper body, good pushing exercises.
Throw push-ups in there with the band around your back.
Rhodes, he said bands.
Well, I know, but
push-ups and bands, dummy.
I can't believe Vincent tricep pushdowns.
I know you can't see, but can you hear?
Band good mornings.
Yep. Pull-throughs.
And so what I would do is probably hold on, we'll go through this again. Pull up and dip bar, whatever. You can do pull-ups and dips every day if your shoulders allow for it. If you do them every day, make sure the volume isn't insane, because the pull-ups a lot of times hurt your elbows. Over time, that's a lot of people complain about. And obviously the dips in your shoulder, but you can do those every day. And kettlebells, obviously you have the swing, the snatch, the kettlebells, the goblet squat that people do if you're heavy enough.
Yep.
Rows. And then the thing is, the one thing I'm surprised people leave out is lunges. Go do lunges, man.
Yeah.
Do 50 to 100 reps per leg. You could do those every day too. So if every day, for example, your core was lunges, chin-ups, or pull-ups, or whatever you want to do, and dips, that was the core of your workout, and you would shoot for a total reps. Like, listen, I'm going to do 50 reps every day for lunge, 50 reps of dips, and 50 reps of chin-up. I'm just making these numbers up. And then you supplement that with whatever band work you want to do and whatever kettlebell work you want to do. I think you'd be set. And then I think you should start with the least amount of reps, maybe X per work, and then just slowly build up. Not every workout, but every week. I think people get this idea you can just increase every workout. It doesn't work like that. Start pretty light for a week. The next week, bump it up, or bump up only 1 or 2, and then keep on going. And then with the bands and stuff, you just got to be creative. Again, the bands don't have a lot of eccentric overload, so you could probably do that as long as your body feels all right. But lunges, dips, and chins, I think you're going to be okay.
Yep.
The only other thing is if you get your hands on an ab wheel, or if you do hanging leg raises, another thing you could do every day. Like what Juliet does is she'll do a chin-up and a leg raise and a chin-up like in the same set. And it's a tremendous total body kind of thing, and it's great. So that's what
I would say. Also, you mentioned elbows on the chin-ups.
Yes.
Yeah, just make sure to vary your grips. Go with a supinated grip.
Yeah.
Go with a closer grip. Go with a wider grip. I have found switching. I switch between. I do pull-ups 3 days a week now, and I do a supinated grip. I do a wide grip, and then I do a neutral grip because my bar allows for that, and it's helped my elbows a lot.
I tell you what, the neutral grip is huge because that's all I use, and I have 5 different variations of that, and it makes a big difference, man. So, the other thing, here's an example. Yesterday I did my weight vest circuit, and I did my chin-ups with a 55-pound vest. Obviously, I'm not very good at pull-ups, but I did 25 total reps as part of my workout. Today I did chin-ups again, but I only did body weight for sets of 5. So, and not every workout has to be, like you're from Sparta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do some more.
Speaking of chin-ups and pull-ups, and how I've adapted and been more flexible, because I do all my pull-ups with a band assisted now.
So yeah,
for right now, because my back and my shoulders have been so screwed up that it's more important for me to have absolutely perfect form and control than it is for me to muscle myself. I can bang out 15 pull-ups right now without the bands, but I'll pay a price for it.
Yeah.
And now I definitely feel a better contraction. I'm able to, feel the eccentric better, and much more control. And again, I live to fight. It's not a hard exercise for me. It's just volume. You know,
Well, you
3 sets of 10, 12, 15, 3 days a week, just keep building. And I've been doing a little less bands here and there, but you know, until that each one feels perfect without without a band, I'm gonna keep the band in there.
well, you treated one as a movement and one as an exercise. It's a big difference.
Right.
It's like when you squat for powerlifting or whatever, it's a movement. Your goal is to do that movement with as much weight, perfect. If you do it as an exercise, your goal is to increase the muscular, has a totally different feel for it. So you do the exercise a little differently. Ironically, when I went over to the local gym for the machines, I tried the assisted pull-up, and I can do more chin-ups regular than I can do on that thing with my body weight, because I'm really going slow, hanging, pulling up, holding. And I was like, oh my God, everyone, I'm like the biggest piece of shit, But it was a weird thing, man. I could do more with my body weight than I could with that thing. So, but it's just a very strange thing. So the other thing is, if you can get your hands on a fat bar for chin-ups and dips, it makes a huge difference with your body. The fat bar feels way, way easier on your hands and your elbows. So,
yep, found the same thing. The fatter the grip, the easier it is on the joints.
Yep, I agree. All right, you guys wanted shit. It's 6:50 right now, guys. You want to be done?
Want to wrap up?
Yeah, because I got.
Yeah, I got to eat. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, so do I.
All right. So what are you guys eating? I know what I'm eating.
I already have my I get my meals sent to me now. I'm lazy. Through Stan Effordine's site. So I got to start eating better. So I'm committed to that now. So maybe when you guys see me, I'll be 235.
I'm going to see you either tomorrow or the day after, unless you're at least 60 right now, dude.
Oh my God. Well, I stepped on the scale the other day and I was like, and I stepped off and then stepped back on. So I moved it a little bit.
What did it say? Come on. How much did you weigh?
Hold on. Someone's coming in here. Who is it? Oh, that's my son.
Get the gun.
Yeah. Less than 260. I'll just put it that way.
All right. 257.
Well, I'm going to eat some ribs. It's been good talking to you guys.
Definitely.
Thanks for everybody listening, and I can't wait to see you guys. I'm jealous that you two are getting together, assholes.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Thanks, Josh, for sitting there and probably being bored to tears, buddy. Thank you to everyone listening.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, same. Thank you to everyone. Jim, I'll talk to you. Vincent.
Be safe, guys. All right.
All right.